Danganronpa. Testing. Testing. Can you hear me? Is he asleep? Hello, hello. Hello, hello, hello. Ooh, I have you up against a wall. The Venom hoodie looks so cute on you. So cute. He uses. Hello, people. She's over, hopefully. Tell me, can you hear the music? I'm curious about. You slime boy cooked up the words? What? Boy, still awake. He was waiting for you. Sweet baby boy. Am I gonna miss this model? I think I will. That's it. I just realized I did not bring my water here. Oh no, I only have tea. Wow. I just got so confused. A note. It just says Lodi. Second to remember. But it was painting. I could go ahead and read 1 and 2, or I could wait. or 5 minutes. It told me then. 5 minutes. Timothy, 3 a.m. and still awake. Oh man. Which I still do every once in a while, doing night shifts. And I get paid. And honestly, the time between probably 3 and 5 is the sleepiest times. Sleepiest. Hopefully. The music is not too loud, is it? Right. Yeah, let's see what time. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, I did do it some. It is a little bit loud. Okay, yeah, I did it some in review 4, but then I turned it back up because it didn't even seem like it was. Also, let me turn it down. Okay. Tell me how that is. What decibel is it hitting? I put it down to negative 55. It's too quiet now. I've got it to between 50 and 45. Negative 40 to negative 30 for technology. I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna leave it alone. I go ahead and start reading. Oh wow. I literally saw my VTuber for just a second before I came back into the screen, and she looked she looked like she'd had a little bit too much to drink. She did. Trying to decide if I need the words to be bigger. I so badly wish that those emotes came through on restreams. Actually, look at. How to turn on the PDF. How to. Yeah, I've got it up on the screen. Oh, in stream. That's a good question. I don't know if I do remember. Oh, is it the source that says PD? I see the eye icon. Oh, look at that. I did it. Did it, guys. Oh. Remember to record. Oh, yeah, you want me to hit the record button? We're recording this shit, man. Okay. Let me give it another minute or two and then I'll actually start. Timothy! Hold up! Timothy! Holy shit! Timothy, thank you for those. Thank you for those memberships to all of the nice, lovely peoples. Streambot, I can see the Timothy shenanigans. Gosh, I actually see it now. Gosh, Gwyneth, hello. How are you doing, darling? I'm gonna start reading here in a minute. I know I said that a minute ago. Look, don't judge me. Georgia Base Witch is doing the Spider-Man point. Oh, man. Wait, and I'm happy that you could too. It is so weird seeing the Twitch stream we restream on broadcast and seeing the words from the chapter because as you can see, maybe I need to. There we go. Just have it like here, where the words are not laying over each other. Timothy over in the purple. In the purple instead of the red. There's a joke there, but I'm not gonna make it. He'll be in here soon once the boy stops bopping you with the cinnamon roll. I'm sorry. You can bring cinnamon roll in here. It'd be nice for me to be able to cuddle it. Heard Kate go off. Affiliate, here we come. Do I need to, do we continue to have the music going whenever I'm reading, Grunt? I can't remember. I'm gonna let you take it. Okay. Wow, there's like barely any lag. Like as soon as I said that, you typed that out. That's interesting. Okay, so chapter 12 of Danganronpa's 0. Whose voice is this? I don't even know. I don't even remember who we left off with. As I let out a sigh, my body seemed to deflate and my chest felt tight, which suddenly reminded me of something. He could have at least loosened the rope. I snuggled lightly for a moment, but my body was exhausted. The burning pain I felt even wasn't from the rope. The cause was far more obvious. On a separate track to our mic so I can do editing stuff now. Just I remember to record too. Oh no, I gotta press the record button. Hold on. Hold on, let me press the record button. Hello, is this thing on? Hello, hello, hello. I'm half of Newbie Weds and I'm gonna read, so listen to me read. But I'm not starting it over again. Let's see, where was I? Oh, it's far more obvious. I closed my eyes and I tried to fall asleep. I wanted to escape the suffering I felt. I wanted to forget everything. With that thought in mind, I slowly began dissolving into dreams. Slowly, slowly melting. I felt as though I was floating, suddenly freed from the weight of my body. Huh? My consciousness resurfaced in an instant, and when I opened my eyes, I discovered that the rope that had bound me was now untied. Matsuda? I rose from the bed and looked around the laboratory, but there was no one there. So how did the rope come undone? Maybe it had slackened and come undone over time, or perhaps I had hidden talent for escape artistry, like a magician. As I pondered the reason, I took a good look around the laboratory and noticed an electric kettle on one of the desks. Maybe I should make myself some tea to help calm me down. Haha, I've got tea. Read from the top, so I have it for the recording. Oh no, it's too late now. I can make a recording of you reading those first lines out of thin air. It's not. You really seriously need me to. Okay, fine. Alright, okay. I'll go all the way to the top. I'll go all the way to the top for you, grunt. And I'll read these first couple of paragraphs. Chapter 12! As I let out a sigh, my body seemed to deflate entirely. My chest felt tight, which suddenly reminded me of something. He could have at least loosened the rope. I struggled highly for a moment, but my body was exhausted. The burning pain I felt even now wasn't from the rope. The cause was far more obvious. I closed my eyes and tried to fall asleep. I wanted to escape the suffering I felt. I wanted to forget everything. With that thought in mind, I slowly began dissolving into dreams. I think there, your anxiety. I think from there you should be good. Now, that's going to be really fun for you to edit. It's going to be so fun for you to edit. Anyways, soon after, I poured some boiling water into a small teapot. The fragrance of green tea leaves tickled my nose as I prepared a cup and took a slow sip. The hot, strong liquid flowed down the back of my throat. Made its way to my stomach and finally calmed down. Why is that so sensual? Oh my god. Anyway. Looks like you finally calmed down. Eh? Eh? Is she Canadian? A small boy I didn't recognize appeared out of nowhere, standing directly in front of me. Yeah! I dropped my teacup in surprise and it hit me directly on the foot. Yeah! I writhed from the sudden agony. Timothy, good night. Sleep well. Don't let the bed bugs bite. Ultimate fan leave. Scrolling. Oh. Yes, there we go. Ah, you are clumsy, big sis. Who are you? I managed to ask the innocent laughing boy through the pain. You've forgotten already. I introduced myself only last night. That last night? I limped to the bed, dragging my throbbing foot behind me to where Ryoko Otonashi's memory notebook was still lying. I picked it up and looked through the pages. Oh, I got it. I suddenly remembered. Are you the boy from the dorms I asked to leave Matsuda a message? Bingo boingo! That's right, I'm Yuto Kamishiro from Hope's Peak Academy 77th class. But, when did you come in here? I asked. I mean, I didn't notice him entering at all. Well, it's natural that you didn't notice me. Kamishiro chuckled out and sat on top of the desk. But that's the wrong question to ask. Eh? What do you mean? I'm scrolling. Kamashiro's mouth spread into a broad grin. I mean, I've been here all along. All along? Well, ever since Yasuku Matsuda tied you to the bed with that rope at least, I heard every bit of that lover's quarrel you had after that and everything. Speaking of, that sure was one impressive knot to be tied. I'll have to ask him to teach it to me sometime. So you mean... I gradually tried to piece together the situation. You've been hiding somewhere in the lab since the beginning and peeked in on what Matsuda and I were doing? How rude! I may be a little perverted, but I'm not the kind of guy who hides and pervs on people. Kamishiro puffed his cheeks. I couldn't tell if he was genuinely upset though. But if you weren't hiding, we would surely have noticed you. I mean, if not me, Matsuda would have. You still don't get it, do you? Fine, I'll say it more clearly. Kamishiro pointed a thumb at his chest in self-satisfaction. He didn't notice me because of my talent, he declared cheerfully. I am the ultimate spy, after all. Rolling. If he tried to puff out his chest even more, he probably would have fallen over backwards. Ultimate spy? You know, like 007 or Mission Impossible. Must have seen one of those movies at some point. I'm just like that, a secret agent man. A secret agent? I had no memory of ever seeing any of the movies. But nothing about the boy gave the impression of something like that. As long as I can remember, people have been telling me how short and plain and insignificant I look. While explaining, he took out a large melon bread from somewhere. Honestly, it's a mystery where he could hide such a thing inside his outfit, and nibbled on it for a moment before continuing. When I was a kid, I hated my lack of presents. But then I had a realization. This is not a disadvantage. Quite the opposite. It's an incredible talent. I mean, if you have no presence, no one's gonna notice. I'd be a great spy or ninja. No drawbacks at all. It was a talent bestowed upon me from the heavens. If I use it, I could become a super spy that saves the world. The second he finished talking, Kamishiro stuffed the rest of the melon bread he was holding into his mouth. In other words, you weren't hiding at all. But we just didn't really notice you. Kamishiro chewed and gulped the rest of the bread down. Yeah, exactly, he said, smiling wildly. At first, I came in here in order to fulfill the promise I made to you yesterday. You know, the message I was supposed to pass along. But then I got here, I saw you and Matsuda already found each other. So I figured it wasn't necessary. But it was a waste to just, go back home. So I thought I'd go and show off my talent. Show off your talent. But why? So I could help you with the incident you've gotten yourself involved with, of course. Kamishiro looked at me with passion-filled eyes that didn't match his boyish face at all. Now that you've seen me do it, you get it, right? I can easily gather any information and solve any case. I'm the kind of guy that likes to aim big. The more dangerous the incident is, the more exciting it is, even if it turns out to be a terrorist plan to steal a nuclear warhead. Ah, my body shivers just imagining it. Okay, Kamishiro, calm down there. Oh, we have pictures. Of course, the picture is going to be a little inverted there, but that's okay. This is what Kamishiro. This is not what I expected Kamishiro to look like. I knew he was supposed to be like short and little. He very much does look like a little boy. A child. No. Oh, man. Okay. I want some of this melon bread that he's talking about. Kamashiro's body indeed shivered a little in excitement of his own words. Out of his innocent appearance oozed a sort of madness. You're a strange one, aren't you? Fair enough. If I wasn't, I wouldn't be in this school. He was right, of course. This was Hope's Peak Academy we were talking about. I'm probably just as strange. So what you gonna do, big sis? I think your best course of action right now is to gain another ally. And not just a regular ally, I'm a specialist. A pro at intelligence gathering. Kamishiro pulled out another piece of pastry. This outfit really has to store that many. But his hand suddenly stopped before his mouth. What the? Peanut butter bread. Ugh. His shoulders projected. Is peanut butter bread bad? It sounds delicious to me. That sounds good to me too, to be honest. What are you saying, sis? Peanuts and bread are the worst possible combination. It's like trying to eat miso and rice together. Oh, yeah. I think that comparison's just making me more confused. I see. I didn't think it. I didn't think it worth the bother of fighting over, so I just agree. I'm glad we understand each other. Here, you can have it. Kamashiro handed me the sticky peanut butter bread, then thrust his hand back into his pocket again, pulled out a new pastry. Yes, a Yamakaze Madeira cake. What is that? Oh, I'm gonna have to Google that. Not right now, though. He looked as though he'd hit the jackpot. His cheeks puffed, and a wide smile appeared on his face as he started chewing the bread. What'd you say? Kamashiro quickly swallowed the bread in his mouth. So, what are you gonna do? He said, his eyes turning eerily serious as he questioned me. That is, I think your only option is to let me help. His cheeks. I'm not the type of guy who would just ignore a damsel in distress, you know? When you have plumbing problems, you call a professional plumber. And when you've gotten involved in the kind of trouble you're in right now, you need a professional like me. I'm exactly the kind of person who can up this kind of incident. Right now, we fit together like male and female genitalia. Why is this child, you know what? Okay. You're a confused person in trouble, and I'm a person who can solve such problems. It's easy to tell what the next step should be, isn't it? Since I've already ejaculated the reason and all, what the fuck? You know what? Alright. But wait a second. I stopped his speech. Confused. What's wrong? Didn't you, break character a little bit just now? Not really. He answered nonchalantly. I guess I was just imagining it then. It bugged me a little at first, but I must have just not been paying attention. I just heard him wrong. That must be it. Put the pee-pee away, bread boy. Oh. Well, have you decided what you're gonna do yet? If you just keep wandering around confused, your problem's never gonna get solved. I think your best course of action right now is to make the right decision and let me handle things. My problem? I had to read my notebook again and put my thoughts in order. Honestly, I'd already forgotten what kind of problem I even had by this point, but the moment I read the explanation, my heart started pounding in an intense rate. Void, hello. Push the monitor a little bit more so I can see it a little bit better. This old witch is getting blind as hell. I'm just gonna say it. Anyways. I closed the notebook in panic. Oh my god. 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 It was unreasonable beyond unreason. Oops, too far. There we go. I had found myself in an abnormal situation to top all abnormal situations. There was no way I could find a way to handle this kind of scenario inside Ryoko Otonashi's memory notebook. Do we have any? Look, take a shot for every time I say Ryoko Otonashi's memory notebook. No matter how much I looked, I didn't have enough data. And I definitely didn't have enough experience. What do I do? What do I do? What do I do? I raised my eyes in haste, and they met the eyes of the boy before me who was still chewing on a pastry. Looks like you've decided. Eh? Well then, why don't you go ahead and tell me what happened that got you in this position? It seemed he could read something in my eyes and was already prepared to take over. He was right, though. There was probably nothing else I can do, and if I can't do it myself, I have no choice but to rely on others. It was simple enough logic. Other people who were not Matsuda. This time I'd finally come to put myself in the care of people who had nothing to do with me before now. What you waiting for? Come on, let me hear all about it. Go on. Uh-huh. Okay. Urged by Kamishiro, who was acting like a dog craving food, I opened my notebook again. Before I could explain about the trouble I was in, though, I had to explain my forgetfulness. I can't say I'm jealous, but this is one interesting trait you have there. As he listened, his face looked as though he'd found an unusual and exotic treasure. I continued explaining how my past memories had been stolen from me. I told him about my late night invitation to the Central Plaza where I found a dead body. And then I met a girl by the name of Junko Inashima. Recounting the events in my notebook was enough to make my voice terrible, but Kamishiro just listened attentively, narrowing his eyes. And as I finished, he finally spoke up. I never imagined I'd hear Junko Inashima's name here. Huh? I feel like someone else had that reaction when I told them to. Too far. Too far. Here we go. Are you surprised I had a bigger reaction to Junko Inashima's name than I did the dead body? Oh, it was just the same with Matsuda earlier. I guess you were right, big sis. You really are forgetful. That's amazing. It's really not something you should admire, you know. Kamishiro pulled himself together in agreement. Well, I think I get the general idea about your situation. Since I'm a super spy, I don't get too surprised by dead bodies. But this really is quite an incident you've gotten yourself involved with. And if that Junko Inashima girl is connected to it, then it's probably also an especially atrocious one. Yeah, you're right to come to me for help. You happen to know this Junko Inashima? I asked. He surely talked as if he did, at least. Not directly, no, but I feel that she and I share a destiny. A stiff destiny. Okay, there. Alright. Excuse me. You sure had an experience straight out of Hollywood blockbuster, haven't you? No need to worry, though. Whoever the protagonist was before, I'm taking over the role now. From now on, this is a thrilling spy suspense story. Thrilling. That's an odd phrase to use for your own life. You shouldn't think too hard about it. Kamishiro thrust his hands into his pocket and again pulled out yet another pastry. Hey, a Choco Swirl, he cheered and then returned to his explanation. I'm currently investigating an unrelated case, you see, and that's where I heard the name Junko Inashima. At the time, I didn't think she was such a key figure, but if she is also involved in your incident, I guess that changes the story. I mean, it would be too much of a coincidence for the same girl to be involved in two different cases. Kamashiro's eyes glittered. He must have been telling the truth when he said the more dangerous the incident, the more excited he gets. By the way, aren't you curious what the other case might be? Aren't you? Yeah, I guess. I reluctantly nodded in agreement since he was pressing it so hard. Should I even tell you? It might be bad if a word of this leaks out. He emphasized the secrecy of the case, despite the fact that it was him who brought it up in the first place. Well, whatever. He dismissed his worries politely, as if they were nothing after all. Hopefully it wouldn't be too troublesome. Actually, I'm not sure where we should even call it an unrelated incident. What do you mean? I think the two of them might be connected. That's what I mean. Connected? So the two incidents were actually one? Honestly, it's probably better I do explain this case to someone else. It's a pretty dangerous one, so there's a possibility something could happen to me. Done with this preface, Kamishiro started pacing around the room as if he were a detective announcing the results of his investigation. That other incident I'm talking about is the incident that was given the name The Tragedy of Hope's Peak Academy. Oh, here we go. We're going to start talking about that one again. Suddenly, my heart started pulsing as if small bombs were going off inside it. Huh? What's going on? Tragedy of Hope's Peak Academy. It was an absurd title straight out of the fiction, and yet something inside me reacted to the words. I felt a weight pressing down on my shoulders as I flipped through the notebook. My thoughts essentially came grinding to a halt. Hey, big sis, what's wrong? When I snapped out of it, I found Kamishiro staring at me. You look like you're in pain. Do you need something for your heart? Herbal liquor or something? No, 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 no. I'm fine. It's nothing. I took a couple of deep breaths and somehow managed to calm myself. In that case, aren't you curious to hear what kind of incident the tragedy of Hope's Peak was, are you? You gotta be. Yeah, I am. He was pressing hard again, so I had to reluctantly agree for the second time. Yes. Well, you see, Tamashiro closed his eyes and held up both hands as if stress significance. I don't really know the exact details myself. You don't know? I complained. He was the one who raised the subject in the first place. Well, I know what the rumors are. Rumors? So far, I've only heard the rumors surrounding it. I'm still investigating whether it really happened or not. Right now, it's more like one of the seven wonders of the school. The title, The Tragedy of Hope's Peak Academy, was just a name that somebody decided to give it. Okay, I see. So it's just a rumor. It was silly for me to be so nervous, but just as I was about to loosen my stressed shoulders, hey, you shouldn't relax just yet. Kamashiro narrowed his gaze at my immediate relief. Even if it is a rumor, there's a good chance it might be true. And if it's true, it was one truly terrible incident. This is one bad rumor we're talking about. I wouldn't loosen up if I were you. My heart rate began to pick up once more. No one knows who actually started the rumor. It's possible they were even trying to stop it from being spread. In short, it's dangerous. That's why I felt I ought to tell you too. I didn't want to listen to him anymore. That was my honest, true feeling. Nevertheless, it seemed I was out of luck. But if you still want to hear all about it, I guess I have no choice. Here, listen. He was already in full swing, engrossed in his own words. You see, here's what the tragedy of Hope's Peak is all about. Kamashiro cleared his throat in a theatrical manner. 15 students belonging to Hope's Peak Academy suddenly disappeared, and 13 of them later found dead. That is the tragedy of Hope's Peak. I was taken aback by the short, harsh story. It was too strange, too bizarre. I didn't seem even a little bit real. But it's just a rumor, isn't it? I asked, seeking confirmation. Kamashiro shook his head. Had I been entirely sure it was just a rumor, I wouldn't be investigating it right now. It seems there really are some students who disappeared. He whispered as if telling a secret. The rumor itself started about a month ago, at the time when 14 members of Hope's Peak Academy Student Council was suddenly invited to study abroad, and are now supposedly overseas. Don't you think that's a little suspicious? That's just a coincidence. But the rumor said 15 went missing, didn't it? So then the numbers don't match up. I guess it's just a rumor after. Those are just the details. Kamashiro fluttered his hand. I mean, it is just a rumor right now. First, he said it's just a rumor. Then he scares me by saying it's real, and now he's going back. Is he doing this on purpose? If it is real, then that's terrifying. Well, it doesn't matter. How about we return to your problem, big sis? Eh? My problem? Have you forgotten already? We were talking about how this, Junko Inashima girl is related to these incidents. I looked down at my notebook again. Oh, that's right, I remember. The strange rumor about dead students has nothing to do with me. My problem is that I'm being stalked by a crazy woman by the name of Junko Inashima. So, aren't you curious? Aren't you curious about how Junko Inashima is related to the tragedy of Hope's Peak? That's where her motive for going after you might be hidden. After all, you're curious, aren't you? Yeah, please tell me, I pressed the pressing Kamashiro. Well, you see, Kamashiro smiled a wide smile. I don't really know. Huh? A sudden dizziness grabbed me and I could feel my balance slip. You don't know? What the? As I trembled, Kamashiro began pacing around the room as though he hadn't. But about a month before the rumors of the incident started spreading, Hope's Big Academy Executive Office conducted an investigation regarding her. Don't you find that suspicious? How many times is he going to say, don't you find that suspicious? It's very suspicious. I regained my posture and raised my voice in excitement. If they investigate her, there's a good chance she's the culprit, right? It's too early to say for sure. We don't even know if the rumors are true. He's probably right, as I made my hypothesis. I somehow convinced myself the incident really did happen. If this rumor is true, and if she's the one behind it, shouldn't she already be locked away or something? Kamashiro leaned on my desk and furthermore, it seems that Junko Inashima herself was the one who started the rumor about the tragedy of Hope's Peak in the first place. Huh? That makes it unlikely that she's corporate. I mean, corporate spreading a rumor about their own crime. That would be far too dangerous. The boy's still fighting sleep. Oh my god. Almost 10 p.m. I've been going for an hour and that child is still not asleep. What the hell am I? But is it really true? Was it really Junko Inashima who started that rumor? He's so mad. Oh, he's fine. Fine. It all started a few weeks ago when a cryptic email message describing the incident was sent to every student in Hope's Peak Reserve course. And the person who sent it was Junko Inashima. Kamashiro nodded, swallowing another bite of sweet. I know an underclassman who's a programmer and is exceptionally good with computers. I have a monitor the school servers for me every now and then, and I happened to find the email by chance. The sender was redacted. Yeah, that's pretty sure. Of course, with a super spy like me on the case, I knew who it was immediately. Oh, and just to be safe, I never told underclassmen about the contents of the email or about the sender's identity. I wouldn't want them to get caught up in such a dangerous mission. I'm very caring like that. I was just about to ask why he would involve me in such a thing, but decided instead to hold my tongue. But why would Junko Inashima do such a thing? Why spread a rumor about that? That I do not know. Why don't we ask her ourselves? I had a sudden flash of inspiration. Let's just find her and ask her what's going on. If that was possible, I'd have done it already. Kamashiro shook his man. I'm not sure why, but I can't imagine. I can't manage to find Inashima anywhere. She isn't going to any classes, and the teachers seem to allow it. Her classmates also have no idea what's going on. I'm telling you, this girl is allowed too much freedom. It's possible she's even been expelled since nobody can locate her. But I did meet her right here in this school. That's what my notebook says. She probably wanted you involved in this, no matter the cost, Big Sis. That's why she appeared right in front of you, stole that notebook of yours, made a direct confession about committing a murder, but I have no clue what her intentions are. It's so far out that all we can currently do is laugh about it. Kamashiro linked his arms behind his head and laughed happily. Well, wait a minute, I chided him in response. This isn't the time to be laughing. This is serious. It's fine. It's not like we're in any hurry, Kamashiro replied, letting out a yawn. The only reason we don't understand it yet is because the investigation is still in its early stages. As soon as I get back on the case, we'll know the rest of the details in no time. Right now, we're putting together theories. We don't know how much of it all is true or not, so in that department, just leave the rest to me. Kamashiro produced yet another pastry as if to say, conversation is done. Ah, the legendary 3-flavor Danish. He stuffed his cheeks happily. Oh, right, I almost forgot. He suddenly turned back to me, licking the sugar off of his fingers. We haven't discussed the matter of generation, have we? What does that mean? I don't even know what that means. You want me to pay you? Oh. Don't worry. I don't really want or need any money. I mean, I'm not really asking for anything important. Nothing important. So do you want me to buy you some pastries? Pasties. I crap myself. Pastries are extremely important. He grumbled and shook his head so vigorously I could almost hear the noise it was. So like what? I tilted my head and confused. Something like, I don't know, a little favor. Said, what? What? Wait, did you mean like a favor, favor, or? Kamishiro didn't reply, simply flashing a grin. After a moment, I answered my own question. Oh, okay. You didn't mean anything dirty, right? I'm sorry, I get confused for a second. You said it was nothing important after all, didn't you? I scratched my head in embarrassment, but Kamishiro looked surprised. Wow, good to know you have such pride in your body image, big sis. I'm surprised. Surprised? I rested my head on my hand and looked at him, asking for clarity once. So, by favor, you meant, well, you might not have guessed as much, but despite my looks, I have quite a sexual appetite. Besides, it's. Am I really reading this right now? Oh my god. Besides, it's given in spy movies that the hero gets the girl after it's all over, and you have just the kind of lewd face that would drive any man wild. Amashiro puffed out his chest in pride. That's not something you should puff out your chest at. Would you prefer I puff out something? Oh my god. This novel is dirty. Would you prefer I puff out something else? Anyway, how about you puff out your chest? Oh, sorry. Big sis, come on. I was doing the wrong voice. Come on, it wouldn't hurt to try. Puff out that little plump, sweet, rounded chest of yours. I can only shudder as his ulterior motives shone through his wicked smile. Lewd. The lewd. Do you happen to know where that sweet innocent boy from earlier went? Anyway, I'm looking forward to dealing with this incident in more ways than one. I have just one request. Please refrain from bathing. Oh my god. Please refrain from what? Oh no, hold on. Oh god, where was I? Okay, looking forward to dealing. Yep, okay. Till then, I much prefer dirty bodies, if you know what I mean. What? What the fuck? That's got to be a manual on how to reset you back on how you were. Dealing with him was suddenly much more difficult than before. Well then, ignoring my embarrassment, Kamishiro clapped his hands loudly. It seems we're in an agreement regarding payment, so it's time for me to begin. He jogged over to the door and waved his hand innocently. See you later, he called as if he were a small child going out to play. He then ran out of the lab, laughing that same eerie laugh. Wait a second, I never agreed to. The door slammed, stopping my shout before it could reach its destination. I never agreed to anything, I muttered fruitlessly to myself as I sat down on the bed, exhausted. But it was only a verbal agreement. I'm not sure such a one-sided agreement can even really be called an agreement. Really, it was maybe my fault for not asserting myself more, though, and for a one-sided agreement, it was way too one-sided. If a feminist group saw what just happened, they'd be rallying immediately. Although, well, it really hasn't. Yep, I should just ignore it. If I ignore it, it'll turn out fine. I muttered to no one in particular, laying back down on the bed. Before long, I heard the lab's door opening again. I thought Kamishiro might have come back for something further, but instead, my heart jumped out of the side of the slender, fair-skinned man at the door. Oh, Matsuda! As though I were a sprinter, I leapt up and ran straight into his chest, hugging him tightly. Oh, you're late! I've been waiting for so long. The body I was embracing was awfully stiff. Huh? Something wrong? I'd like to continue our conversation from earlier. What conversation? I had no clue what he was talking about. I had already forgotten, but I didn't care. Even if I couldn't remember what happened before, as long as Matsuda is here, everything's fine. Did we talk about something before? I tilted my head and then buried my face deep in his chest, releasing a purring giggle. My head remained buried there for a while. I thought he would chastise me, getting him dirty, but instead his tone was something bordering mournful. I'm sorry. Huh? I looked up at him in surprise. What are you sorry about? Matsuda stared at my face for a while, then coughed lightly to himself. No, it's fine if you don't remember. But in any case, I'm sorry. He repeated, looking away. I didn't understand what he meant, but for some reason my chest tightened with emotion, placing the thunderous beating of my heart. I buried my face deep in his chest again. And as I stand there, swallowed inside his chest, I start forgetting. All the dirt and filth that clung to the side of my body crumbled to nothingness, leaving my nose. Hold on a second, let me take a tea sip. Start forgetting all the dirt and filth inside of my body crumbles into nothingness, leaving nothing but a pure, empty feeling. Everything in the universe outside of the two of us in this small is insignificant. Nothing matters except this very moment right now. I'm a little worried about his sudden apology, but even this isn't such a big deal compared to happiness right now, this very moment. That's the only important thing in the world. I don't understand anything about this moment. Nothing exists for me except this moment. All I can and want to remember is this moment. And that's why I want to bury myself deep in this moment's happiness. By the way, how did you get out of the rope? Suddenly heard Matsuda's voice from somewhere above my head. What rope? You don't even remember how you escaped that knot? No, I'm sorry. I really can't leave you alone for a second, can I? I'm sorry. Matsuda shook his head and sighed, but his mouth curled into a chuckled. Anyway, you're starting to hurt me. Oh, come on, just a little longer. I pleaded like a spoiled child, receiving a sigh in return. As I felt his body relax and soften, I was immersed in a feeling of satisfaction and victory. As if it was that moment I could grasp the entire world inside my fist. This is my world. This alone, my world. I closed my eyes, a feeling of euphoria flowed over me. I could hear the beating of his heart inside his chest. That constant beat was the final blessing for me, the girl who has now held everything I ever wanted in her hands. The parade, Matsuda, whispered Matsuda. Did you say something? I asked, keeping my eyes closed. Somehow the parade outside is growing louder again. I tried listening, but thump thump. I couldn't hear anything but the beating of his heart. None here except for me and Matsuda. Nothing other than that has anything to do with me, and right now, wasn't even anything left to say anymore. For a while longer, I kept my face buried in my beloved Matsuda's chest. Then I reluctantly parted with my beloved Matsuda, turned to my room that didn't have my beloved in it. I thought of my beloved Matsuda as I took off my shoes. I whispered my beloved Matsuda's name as I climbed into bed, and then I drifted into sleep where dreams of my beloved Matsuda awaited me. Nothing else mattered. Nothing else had anything to do with me anymore. Chapter 13. That was a very long chapter, it seemed. Take some tea sip breaks. My tea has gone cold. Oh well. Chapter 13. Hope's Peak Academy, East District. The courtyard. Alright, is he still, like, not asleep? The lights from the surrounding facilities were long gone. Only the street lamps installed at fixed intervals made an effort to illuminate the darkness. In front of the clock tower on the edge of the courtyard stood a lone teenage girl. She squinted, looking at the tower before her. He's maybe getting there. He's just had a little fit. Oh, okay. The girl was waiting for... Oh, any moment now, she muttered quietly to herself. The girl was waiting for someone. When she first contacted the man, he coldly refused to meet her, insisting that it wasn't necessary, but once she brought up some sensitive information, she found him much more open to the suggestion. It wasn't hard, after all. She made her livelihood discovering people's secrets, and if she didn't know much about someone in particular, it was far better for her to meet them in person. The hunger for notoriety is a scary thing. Look here, this novel is using words that I don't know. Even when it seems impossible to attain, people are determined to reach greatness. And so she waited for a member of Hope's Peak Academy steering committee. She needed to meet them no matter the cost, and it needed to be face to face. There was a certain truth about the committee were earnestly trying to hide. A truth even her client, Hope's Peak Academy headmaster, most likely did not know. The only avenue of investigation was to question a committee member directly one on one. She had reached this decision only a few short days after setting out on her investigation. Her formidable talent led her to it. Her name was Kyoko Kirigiri. She was a student in Hope's Peak Academy's 78th class and bore the title of Ultimate Detective, and right now she was employed by Hope's Peak Headmaster to investigate a certain incident. He's late, she muttered, looking up at the clock tower once more. Kyoko, let's go! She was. Oh, I read that one already. 5 minutes late. I should have told her to be strictly on time. She frowned, a crease appearing between her brows, but the moment she lowered her eyes from the clock, the crease disappeared. There was the figure of a man in the distance. The figure glanced around, seemingly on guard, then proceeded slowly toward where she was standing. Slowly, his features became clearer. He was an old man wearing a pitch black suit and matching pitch black necktie, as if he were on the way back from a funeral. His grizzled hair was unnaturally stiff with pomade and seemed almost artificial. As the man neared, his face became clearer as well. His forehead was covered with deep wrinkles that seemed to be chiseled directly into his skull, and the sunken eyes below them glared at Kyoko with a disgusted expression. The distance between the two narrowed, and finally, when they were only 3 meters or so separating them, the man stopped. "Was it you who called me here?" His mouth drawn across his face in a straight line. Asked the question in a gritty and harsh tone. "What the hell did—" His words were cut short. Something fell from the sky, landing in front of Kyoko, and both the man and his words were crushed. It almost seemed like slow motion, or perhaps like viewing individual frames of a film reel, one at a time. The school desk that came flying down from the sky hit the man directly on the head. The man's body twisted and collapsed from the impact, while the desk bounced back into the air in recoil. At that point, another desk came flying down from above and smashed into the fallen man's waist, bending his body backward like a trampled rag doll. Then yet another airborne desk fell and twisted his neck unnaturally upon impact. The man's face had no time to show surprise. It was stuck in the same expression as when he called out to Kyoko. With a continuous following desk, an enormous dust cloud was swept up, obscuring the man entirely. An overdue, intense crashing noise finally registered in Kyoko's ears. At that same moment, the desk came flying out from inside the dust cloud, missing her by mere inches. As it landed behind her, it briefly spun like a top. It was a freakish development. A development with no rhyme or reason. The man who moments ago stood in front of Kyoko had been crushed by a number of fallen school desks as soon as he opened his mouth. It only took a few seconds at most. Kyoko's thought process was interrupted for a moment, but only for a moment. As the dust began to settle, she ran to the mountain of desks and began shifting them. There was already a deep red puddle next to the man, who was now buried beneath the rubble. Dark red liquid seeped from his eyes, nose, and ears, as well as what felt like countless other places. Kyoko's mind quickly changed course. She turned her head to look above her. Vague silhouette stood atop the school building, slowly coming into focus. It was a human figure, illuminated by moonlight from behind. The strange figure brandished something above its head and then threw it. It was a pipe chair, and it was flying straight towards Kyoko. She ran into the building. She ran into the building before her, keeping it low to the ground as she could. Well, I'm losing my train. What gives? Hello. Don't mind me like losing my place where I'm reading. She ran into the building before her, keeping as low to the ground as she could while another crashing noise came from behind. At that point, it didn't even matter to her whether she had made a target of herself or not. She was running solely to pursue a lead in an adrenaline rush that erased any sense of danger from her mind. In no time at all, she reached the landing at the top floor and found the remains of a padlock in front of the door that led to the roof. The school should really consider buffing up security. Grasped the doorknob, feeling the faint cold metal below through her gloves. As she twisted it, the door opened easily, noiselessly. Immediately, the strong, cold night wind blew past her body. She took a single cautious step and scanned the roof, which was dimly illuminated by starlight. There was no one there. She walked around the rooftop, thoroughly checking the area near the door and every other place where a person could conceivably be hiding in the shadows. Nevertheless, she couldn't find anybody. Oh, I'm too late. Overcome by frustration, she leaned back against the iron fence surrounding the roof. Then she looked up at the sky and quietly grumbled to herself. This is what I hate my job. Suddenly, a cold shiver ran down her back. Something wasn't right. She quickly turned. Looking into the courtyard through the fence, her face caught the cold night wind, and for a moment her vision felt cloudy. Around the clock tower, she could see the wreckage of school desks and the single chair of course they were there. But the dead body that should have been there wasn't. Kyoko gritted her teeth as she pulled her cell phone from her uniform pocket. Just as she was about to push the call button, a hint of hesitation appeared on her face. Regardless, pressed it. After only a moment, she heard a man's voice in reply. Are you free right now? Kyoko asked, skipping a greeting. There's something I need to report directly. I'll be there soon. Oh, okay. Chapter 14. I didn't expect that chapter to end so abruptly. Chapter 14. It was a few minutes after Kyoko Kirigiri had disappeared from the roof. Bzzz, a strange sound, as if the very air was being torn like paper, echoed through the courtyard. My voice is trying to go. Ta-da! Taser gun! Exclaimed the high school girl, touting a pistol-shaped object in her hands. Her eyes were focused on the two collapsed security guards lying before her. Both were face down, and each had a small, thin. Take that! She cried and pulled the trigger again. Bzz, bzz, bzz. The bodies of the two men who were already unconscious shook and spasmed along with the violent noise. The crazy, ecstatic grin appeared on the girl's face as she watched them. This is unconscious? I thought so. She yawned loudly. She had no makeup on, as though she had just climbed out of bed. In her hands were indeed a taser gun. By pulling the trigger, a thin needle and wire would fly out from the gun to the target's body and deliver an intense electric current. Normally a weapon like that wouldn't kill the target. But since she modified it to send a much stronger current, it wouldn't be so strange if someone did die. In truth, it was just to ensure she always had the upper hand, her very own self-defense weapon for despair. She continued playing with the taser gun for a short while, but soon after grew bored of it. She pulled the wires away from the guards' bodies with her bare hand. Well, that takes care of I'm forgetting how I do Junko's voice. Well, that takes care of that. It seems like little Miss Kindaichi also disappeared to who knows where. I wonder who'll meet face to face. She let out a theatrical sigh of relief and walked majestically across the plaza and towards the clock tower. She made no attempt to hide herself at all. Quite the opposite, in fact. She exhibited a sense of presence that seemed to scream at people to look at her. It also had the sinister suggestion that, by doing so, they might end up dead. That said, I never expected Detective Conan to stick her nose into my business. I mean, it's clearly the headmaster's fault for meddling. But my plans for this scenario didn't include her at all, so what am I to do? I mean, it is interesting to have her around, but it's also possible she'll get in the way of my beautifully orchestrated. Hey, wait. She stopped abruptly, as if about to trip forward, and stared at the wreckage of school desk in front of her. The moment she saw it, the cruel smile that was plastered on her face melted. There's no dead body. The words felt as heavy as lead while they poured from her mouth. It happened again. This is so fucking despair inducing. So despair inducing, it's like a wild dream. Her face once again twisted into a smile. Laughing, she kicked the pipe chair that lay at her feet. She didn't seem to use much strength, but at the same time, the chair flew a few meters, hit a street lamp that was in its way, and shot off into the air like a ping pong ball. Then, as the reverberating sound disappeared from the plaza, the figure of Junko Inashima disappeared as well, vanishing in the shadow. Next chapter. Oh, what was that? Yoko Kirigiri instinctively stopped moving. She thought she'd heard a sound like a bell clanging, but when she listened attentively, the corridor was still and silent as ever. I am magnet. Usually, she would have stopped investigating until she was satisfied, but right now she had far more pressing matters to attend to, thus she began walking once more and hurried off towards her destination. Under normal circumstances, students were forbidden from entering the faculty building for Hokusik Academy, but Kyoko carried along through the hallway at a brisk pace. The sound of her footsteps was the only noise in the corridor. There was no sign of any others in the building as well. She hadn't passed anyone on the way here, and she most likely wouldn't pass anyone going forward. Regardless, she arrived at her destination quicker than anticipated. A plaque reading Headmaster's Office adorned the door in front of her. Yoko glared at it for a moment and then pushed the door open without knocking. You're already here. That was fast. Jim Kirigiri, who was sitting at a desk deep inside the office, smiled. Yoko surveyed the room quickly, as was her habit when entering an unfamiliar place. It left one single impression on it. Messy. What seemed to be tremendous amounts of papers and documents, among other things, were spread throughout the room with no regard to order. I've been busy moving things, so I haven't had much of a chance to clean up just yet. Kirigiri, scratching his head. Kyoko's reply was a simple, cold, and indifferent stare. She moved straight onto the subject at hand, indicating no interest in small talk. I met with one of the members of the steering committee. Someone interfered. Kirigiri got to interfere. Kyoko moved on. He was killed. More to the point, he was killed right in front of me. Killed? However, his corpse quickly disappeared soon after. Disappear? Despite only managing to repeat her words, Kirigiri's face grew deeply concerned. Kyoko, more or less ignoring him, continued speaking in the same indifferent tone. Take an audio break for a second. I'm going to mute my mic, so hold on. Okay. Where was I? Okay, yeah. Despite only managing to repeat her words, Kirigiri's face grew deeply concerned. Yoko, more or less ignoring him, continued speaking in the same indifferent tone. But isn't it odd? They killed someone right in front of me, but then they hid the body. I don't know whether they were trying to show off, but from there, that purpose does hiding the body serve. Something feels wrong. Yoko seemed to be getting more and more passionate as she went on, not allowing Kirigiri the chance to interrupt. Furthermore, didn't another committee member go missing yesterday? If that's the case, he may also be in danger. We should find a way to contact him and warn him. No, not just him. The whole committee. The whole committee is also. Wait a second. Kirigiri couldn't take it anymore and rose up from his chair. Are you sure he was dead? Kyoko said nothing, but her grim face was all the answer he needed. Kirigiri felt the strength drain from his body and sank back into his chair. Why? That's just. He heard Kyoko letting out a long, slow sigh in response to his question. Aside from the fact that the body was hidden, I have a theory as to why he was killed. You do? Kirigiri slapped his hands on the desk energetically, as though he were about to rise once more. Tell me, why? Watching him, Kyoko felt a sense of disappointment washing over her. The feeling showed itself in her eyes, which seemed to be asking why he couldn't even figure this out on his own. Worse, he didn't even seem to notice her disappointed expression. Please tell me. Kyoko let out another deep sigh and answered quietly, making that big, making that, making that big of a show when killing someone likely means it's a warning. If that's the case, I think it's safe to assume members of the steering committee are being killed because of the tragedy. Jim Kirigiri swallowed what little saliva remained in his dry mouth. So you know about that already? About the tragedy of Hope's Peak Academy? To a certain extent. Her response was unexpectedly blunt. Kirigiri thought as a frown began. I see. He rose slowly from his chair, blinking in an attempt to fully take in her words before asking another question. So, in short, members of the steering committee are being killed because we chose to cover the tragedy? No, there's more to it than that. Yoko shook her head lightly. The steering committee hasn't just been covering up the existence of the incident. They've been hiding something else, something important. I think that's why he was killed. Kirigiris took a moment to Kirigiris took a I don't know if that S is meant to be there. Took a moment to measure his response, replying with a thoughtful mutter. Perhaps it's because the committee knows the identity of the culprit and has been. Oh, hello. It's so nice to see you. Oh, weird. Wonder why. You know about that? For the first time since she entered the room, Kyoko's eyes met Kirigiri's. I figured you didn't know about the culprit being hidden. I didn't think you'd given me the job if you did. I see. You were also involved with their concealment. Her words carried a hint of anger. No, that's not it. Nose is so congested for some reason, by the way. Muted and muted.
I'm double muted. I am. Hi guys, I'm here.
Oh, it's
I'm
a
back to being a
disembodied
disembodied voice. The PDF over too.
Oh, okay. Can you? Oh, there you go. Oh, yeah.
Line with.
Yeah, okay. Where was I? Kirigiri quickly shook his head, defending himself. I was never told of any kind of plan to conceal the culprit. That's something the steering committee had decided by themselves, for that matter. They haven't told me anything directly. I've been investigating myself. Yoko's frown grew deeper. You did your own investigation? That's not that strange, is it? Kirigiri gave a bitter smile. I've been doing all I can. I mean, I do have the blood of a detective family running through my... Stop it! Yoko's voice rose into a shout. Kirigiri looked up in surprise and found her glaring at him. She wasn't even trying to hide the anger bubbling up inside her, and it was reflected in her eyes that glared at Kirigiri. Made your ear bleed.
Tissues, please. Please.
God,
I'm bleeding
I'm
out.
sorry. Dude. Thor. Oh, where was I? Ah, yes. She wasn't even. Oh, it seems I'm really nervous. I can't talk. Oh my god. Hold on, guys. I'm having nasal issues.
You're so nasally.
I am very nasally. Sucks.
I'm here.
He was like winking. It was so funny.
Ah. Ka-cha!
I didn't even know the eyes could do that.
I didn't know that
That was
either.
so funny.
There's clearly something wrong.
Maybe you need to recalibrate.
I think so. I think that's the main issue.
There you
Is
go.
recalibration. Recalibrating. Slime activated.
Before I even started, I had to back out of the app completely
Oh,
on my
really?
phone
Really?
because she was doing the
Why?
jerky movements.
Mm.
So I had to back out of it, and I'm glad
I'm
that it.
surprised you haven't switched the screens over.
I didn't really think to do that, to be honest.
You
I've
want
been
me to do that?
straining.
You want me to do that?
Actually, do you want to take over the
Not really.
Take
We're in the
over.
middle of a chapter.
take over and let me go to the bathroom?
Where are we at?
You were at the stop it.
Get some help. Okay, you go do that, and you might want to refill your water. You want to warm up my tea? You can't do it in
Yeah.
this mug, but
I can't.
no, it's got the thing on it.
The shining star. Oh.
Yeah,
Alright, I'll put it in
the
another mug.
exploding thing. Remember where I exploded the last one?
I've obviously forgotten that.
The skull one. I microwaved one of the skulls. Anyway, guess I'm going to continue this reading. Stop it! Kyoko's voice rose into a shout. Kirigiri looked into her surprise and found her glaring at him. She wasn't even trying to hide the anger boiling up inside her. It was reflected in her eyes that glared at Kirigiri. She wasn't simply angry at her employer or her school's headmaster. She was angry at her detested father. Don't you even dare say it like some kind of sick joke, and that's why I'm sorry. He had no choice but to apologize. That was tasteless of me. He bowed his head deeply. Deeply. So very, very deep. Oh. There's some lovely art of Kyoko. There we go. His circumstances didn't matter. His own feelings didn't matter. From her point of view, he was simply a man who abandoned his family. That much was unquestionable. He didn't want to make any excuses. It's not like he could anyway. But perhaps, at the very least, he could at least tell her his thoughts. No, he couldn't do that either. Forget it. He lifted his head at the plain response. Kyoko, now leaning against a bookcase on the wall, seemed cool and collected once more. We've gotten off topic, she calmly added. I'm sorry, you're right. He let out a deep sigh. However, he found himself unable to concentrate further. And it was then that Kyoko said something that surprised him. The cold, sharp words that spilled from her lips seemed to pierce like a sword. It's Azuru Kamakura, isn't it? Kirigiri reacted instantly. His eyes, his fingertips, his breath. Kyoko didn't miss any part of his reaction. So it is. His entire body was arrested by the look she gave him. He remembered that look. No, he couldn't just remember it. She had the eyes of a detective family, the eyes he hated and feared, the eyes that could pierce anyone's inner thoughts, creep through their minds, and leave nothing unrevealed. His own daughter glared at him with those intense, sharp eyes, and he felt his frown fade for just a moment, as expected from an heir to the Kirigiri family. Such outstanding talent. Is something funny? Kyoko inquired, eyeing him carefully. No, I was just admiring you. The hint of a smile appeared on his face. In such short time, you were able to find out about Izuru Kamakura and the tragedy at Hope Peak Academy. As I'd asked, not only that, you also detected that Kamakura was responsible for it. Absolutely remarkable. In what was nearly excitement, Kirigiri's words grew faster and faster. Well then, I wonder if perhaps you could give me more information. Who is Azuru Kamakura? It's strange. With the name alone, I can't even narrow down whether they're a man or a woman. Kirigiri shook his head without hesitation. I told you before, I can't tell you that. The smile disappeared from his face. I see. Fine. I'll just find out by myself. You didn't say the latter part. Vincent shifted her gaze to her feet and continued to a plain tone. But I understand. Why would you ask me to find Kamakura if you know they're the culprit? You're trying to keep the incident covered up, right? Wouldn't it be bad for the steering committee to continue sheltering them? No. I can't leave this to the steering committee. Oh, Kyoko grimaced. So you don't trust them either. No, that's not it. Kirigiri's voice turned cold. It's just that I don't think they know what they're doing. I think they're making a big mistake. A mistake. They think if they can recover this incident, it's all over. But I don't think that's true. Kyoko listened carefully to Kirigiri's explanation without interjecting. I don't believe the tragedy is over and done with. Rather, I feel like something out there. It's still continuing. I hope it's just my imagination. But if it isn't, this may turn into something we can't undo. And that's why I must hear what Kamakura has to say. Unfortunately, even now I'm unsure of the whereabouts of the steering committee. Makes it awfully hard to trust them. Something bothered Kyoko. It had less to do with what he was saying, and more with his demeanor. I was about to say demure. As he was telling his fear that the incident was far from over. His tone and voice, gestures were certainly grave, but that was not all. He felt just a tiny hint of emotion hidden in them. He suddenly remembered his grandfather, her grandfather. Kyoko's grandfather, Jun Kirigiri's father, was the head of the Kirigiri family and still on active duty as a detective. Kyoko's first job as a detective, though he was only acting as an assistant, was far more successful than expected, and although she hadn't said a word, his expressions showed subtle but immense pride. The man in front of her had a similar expression, but she dared not say anything. It would be an insult to her grandfather, who she... fucking hell, that killed me.
Sorry.
Who she revered. Is something wrong? The question made her realize she'd been quiet for a while. It's nothing. Kyoko pulled herself together, softly brushing some hair out of her face. Fine, I understand why you asked me to search for Kamakura now. Essentially, you couldn't do it yourself without drawing the committee's attention. Then she pointed her piercing eyes towards Kirigiri again. But you sure it was a good idea to confide in me? Kirigiri's expression shifted. What do you mean? I said it before, didn't I? The steering committee is being targeted because they're sheltering the culprit behind the tragedy, which means the culprit of this incident is someone who was searching for Kamakura. Kirigiri suddenly realized what he was saying, and a stiff smile appeared on his face. So you're trying to say is that I'm a suspect? That's right. Although I already know it's not you, Kyoko told her as she spoke. Right after the body disappeared, I made a phone call to this room. Seeing as how you answered, unfortunately, it gives you a solid alibi. Unfortunately, that's a bit harsh, isn't it? Kirigiri chuckled quietly to himself, as his stiff smile became a bitter one. Furthermore, don't you think you have other reasons to worry? After all, when I find Azuru Kamakura, I might decide to call the police before coming to you. No, not worry about that at all, Kirigiri answered, as if mocking the suggestion. To the police, the most important thing is the law. To a detective, the most important thing is the client. You see every case to the end, and that's what makes you the ultimate detective. Even if you hate your client, he thought to himself. I wonder, why did you take the time to ask for me? So that I wouldn't come here to investigate on my own? You took it upon yourself to ask for my help directly. As Kyoko spoke, you could feel that her words were laced with emotion, and so she cursed herself. That's what my words implied. I apologize. The only reason I hired you was due to your sheer talent in the field. I had no ulterior motives. Kirigiri chose his words carefully. It was clear that he was worried, and that only intimidated Kyoko further. More than anything else, she was angry with herself for letting him get to her. She thought she had put it all behind her. She wasn't supposed to feel anything for her father anymore. Not even resentment. That's why she accepted the job. It was supposed to be just like any other case. So why was she choosing such sharp words every time she spoke? It was like a spoiled child looking for attention. We're done. I've had enough of this idle chatter, she said in a strained voice. trying to shake away those thoughts. In any case, we cannot afford any more victims. I think it's a good idea for you to warn the rest of the committee members. Tell them if they continue to harbor Izuru Kamakura, it's likely more people are going to end up dead. Yes, of course. Their eyes met. They both knew the committee was unlikely to listen, but neither of them said it out loud. It would be useless to mention it. I'll be going now. Kyoko turned her back on Kirigiri without giving him another look. As she neared the door, he raised his voice unexpectedly. This job may be more dangerous than I thought. Kyoko stopped in her tracks. So? She asked, turning her head. I'm a detective, heir to the Kirigiri family. I thought that's what you'd say. Kyoko Senso's words leading her to another unwanted emotion, and she began moving quickly to the door again. When she reached for the doorknob, her father spoke up once more. The reserves course parade is growing more radical by the day. His voice was unusually intense. I feel the timing is too perfect. Can't be unrelated to the incident. What I'm trying to say is, Kirigiri cleared his throat, attempted to sound more natural. Be careful. He sounded like a father cautioning his daughter before she went out for the evening. As the words left his mouth, Kyoko's expression softened. He remained silent, saying nothing more as she left the headmaster's office. After hearing the door close loudly, Kirigiri allowed a deep sigh and leaned back into his chair. A smile lingered on his gloomy face. There really is one incredible talent she has. He whispered,
She simply is one hell of a butler.
She simply is one hell of a detective. He whispered those words inside his heart, and the smile on his face grew wider. Upon leaving the headmaster's office, Kyoko coughed lightly before walking back through the corridor. Her footsteps echoed, much the same as they did before. Remaining expressionless, she whispered something quietly. She didn't need to tell me. She heard her own voice as it gently faded, and then she herself vanished too, deeply into the dark corridors. Chapter 16. You want to take over again? Okay.
You want to put me back on the screen?
I didn't even realize you weren't there. I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
I love
also,
you.
I love you. Is chat still working okay?
I think
It's
so.
still
Why?
working? I mean, I just have noticed that, and it's been staying at that number for a while.
At 2? Oh, because it's like 4 on YouTube and 1 on Twitch. I just... Yeah, okay. It is working. It's weird that it's not showing the bot here.
Yeah.
Has it not been doing that then?
No.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure. I was doing that correctly.
Shows here.
Oh yeah, okay. Well, I'm just wondering if it was showing there or not, and if it was showing in YouTube or not. Do you know? I'll have to find out. And I can edit all this out. Power of editing. If it would load up. Yes, it does. It does. Okay. That's good. That Restream bot is working then. Okay, that means everyone can see everything.
Everyone can see all the things.
Everyone can see.
Okay.
Can't do it. You can just scroll that, right? You can just...
Yeah.
Is this tea warm enough to drink?
Imagine so.
Is it cool enough to drink? Is this mine?
Yes. Alright, chapter 16. There are so many possibilities for endings. I, Ryoko Otanashi, have decided to leave. What?
It might be best if I am moved.
Yeah, I've really been straining my eyes, actually. Because I've not thought to move it because I'm... Yeah, there we go.
Is that better? And then I'll keep an eye on chat and you can...
That's good.
Yeah, I did say. I said literally earlier to do it. And I said last stream that we need to be doing it as well.
I don't remember these things.
At least now I can see if my VTuber is actually working though.
I'm very much like Ryoko Otanashi, to be honest.
Why?
Because I'm so forgetful.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Anyways, I, Ryoko Otanashi, have decided to leave Hope's Peak Academy with Yasuka Mitsuda. Right now, we are waiting for our flight at the airport lobby. Together, the two of us will board a plane and leave for the United States of America, the land of the free. I finally realized what's important to me. I'm with Matsuda. Wait, that was just a misspelling. Yeah. It says Yasuke
Mitsuda.
Mitsuda,
I said
and
Matsuda.
it's supposed to be Matsuda.
Yeah.
Who is my world, and so I don't need to fuss over such trifling matters as Hope Speak Academy. I had no obligation to participate in this original story. If you happen to be interested in what happens next, by all means go ask someone else. We're busy. Okay. After we get to America, we'll be working in cornfields trying to develop a new kind of corn, and after that, we'll be going to NASA in order to move our base of operations to the moon. The fuck? She dreaming? She's dreaming, right? Hey, Matsuda, I say, turning towards him. He's already hard at work, growing corn under the seat next to me. Yeah, this is definitely a dream.
Really, what gave it away?
The growing the corn under the sea. We're not at the plantation yet. Isn't this too early? Fuck off, he replies as he buries the seeds. I'm planting the Cybamen? Cybamen?
I don't know what that means.
Cybermen?
Cybermen. What?
You can't, Matsuda. Cybermen won't grow unless the soil is richer. Nappa's going to be upset, I say, but Matsuda doesn't listen to me, and he thump, 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 thump. I open my eyes. Oh no. How am I going to be on top of her?
I don't know.
Oh god.
Better find out.
Wearily, I rose up and took a look around the room. Beige carpet, a small vanity against the wall, an empty bookshelf. Everywhere I looked were small notes reading, "This is my room." Seeing as how I must have put all that effort into putting up these notes, I can only assume that it is my room. I took a deep breath to calm myself, and then I realized I didn't have time for that. Thump, 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 thump. Someone was pounding violently on my door as if trying to bring it down. I'm coming. Just a moment. Thump, 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 thump. Ka-thump, ka-thump, ka-thump. I clearly had no patience as their knocks soon became strangely rhythmic and annoying. I crawled out of bed, realizing in the process that I must have been sleeping with my shoes on. Calm down, I thought as I removed them, grabbed my notebook from the bedside table, and rushed to the door. Who is it? I unlocked the door and with caution opened it slightly. Yoo-hoo!
Big summer blood.
A blonde girl with flashy makeup peeked vigorously
Is this
through the gap.
Junko?
Ugh! Shocked, I jumped back. Hey, how much longer you planning to sleep? You know it's already noon, right? What are you, dopey? Huh? Oh, no, wait, sleepy. Who was the one who was sleepy? That's right, my bad. Anyway, you probably just can't keep up with what I'm saying because you sleep so much. I opened my notebook to check who the strange girl was while she continued incessantly talking. Oh, dear, did you forget all about me? Let me tell you then. I'm Junko Enoshima. That's it. Ultimate fashionista, Junko Enoshima. Junko Enoshima, huh? I hurried, looked for memories in my notebook. Soon alarms started going off inside my head. Junko Enoshima was the egotistical, self-proclaimed murderer who I wasn't supposed to have anything to do with under any circumstances. What? Go away, I screamed as if my brain were coming to a boil. I tried to close the door in a panic, but she had already forced her foot through the gap like a persistent salesman, stopping me from doing so. Hey, are you trying to run away? That kind of attitude is just going to hurt my feelings, you know. I don't care. Just go away. With all of my strength, I tried to force the door, but it didn't budge. Ding dong. Oh my gosh, I totally got it. Didn't you say you thought I was crazy? Think I've got a few screws loose? You thinking? I don't need you to tell me, right? I realized that a long time ago, right? Well, have I got something that'll blow your mind? She threw her hands out and widened her eyes, looking verifiably insane. Well, what? You want to know? I mean, if you figure it all out, your mind will be totally blown. It's like she's from another planet. No, that's not it. I meant, what do you want from me? Well, if you really and truly insist, excuse me coming in. She forced the door open with what seemed like the strength of 100 men and made her way into my room. Stop! As I tried to escape deeper into the room. Enoshima grabbed the collar of my shirt. Ugh! You know, it wouldn't be the way... wouldn't it be way better if you stopped trying to run away? I mean, aren't I the grand thief who stole away your precious notebooks? Don't you hate me? Don't you just despise me? I don't care anymore. I don't need those old memories anymore. I don't remember them anyway. I struggled violently and somehow managed to shake her off before running to my bed as fast as I could. I pulled the blanket over my body and pleaded with her, just leave me alone. Stop trying to get me involved. It has nothing to do with me. Then, I see you just fine being holed up in your itty bitty world. I heard Inishima's cold and different voice through the blanket, but that would mean you're gonna just let Yasuka Matsuda die. You really okay with that? All at once, my sucking emotions bubbled up, flooding my chest. Wait, what'd you just say? What are you gonna do to Matsuda? I tossed away the blanket in a hurry, and the girl crept close to me. And then something unexpected happened. With a huge grin on her face, Junko Inishima hugged me. Huh? Frozen by surprise, I stood there, and she softly whispered into my ear, yeah, that's good. You should hate me so much you'd want to kill me. The more you despise me, the more despair-inducing this story is gonna become. And that would be perfect. Wait. Let go of me. Hate me, despise me, fight me, break out of that shell and let the real you run free. You're not as trapped in your own little world as you think. Let's give birth to a new you. It may hurt right now, but don't worry. You're still in the teething stage. Once you're done with that, the real you will be born and we can rejoice. Desperate, I took a bite into Inishima's ear. Jesus. Ow, 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 ow! As she faltered, I tore myself from her grip. And give me a break. Why are you trying to get us involved with something like that? It has nothing to do with us. Whether you have or don't have anything to do with it has nothing to do with it. She caressed her bitten ear and turned to me, an ecstatic smile on her face. Car crashes, natural disasters, wars, unfortunate accidents. Do you even realize how many people in this world lose their lives to things that have nothing to do with them? It's just the same. It suddenly seems that way. Silently, I began praying. Dear God, please listen to my prayer. Please drop a meteorite or something on this girl's head right now. If you do that, I will revere no one but you for the rest of my life, right after Matsuda. You good? Besides, it has everything to do with you. You can say otherwise all you like, but it's only because you don't remember.
Hi.
Hi.
I finished my tea.
You finished your tea?
I'm a happy slam.
Oh, so good. My prayer was instantly followed by intense bewilderment. What do you mean by that? It's obvious, isn't it? Have to clear my throat. Oh, God.
You know we have a mute button for
I
that.
know. Inishima lowered her voice and spoke in a commanding tone. The tragedy of Hope Speak Academy. You've got plenty to do with it. I quickly turned to consult Ryoko's Otonashi's memory notebook, but Inishima got it first. Let go of that. Did you really think the things you can't remember are worthless and meaningless? Honestly, it's like you have boobs for brains. She laughed quietly as she came closer. You know, even if you lose your memories, your action don't disappear with them. Their effects are still felt right now in the world you've forgotten about. What are you saying? Hey, really, you've never thought about it? Your actions affect people all over the globe. Someone could be hurting a touch and tortured by them. That's not... It's a cruel world out there, but it's the one we live in. People are intertwined in ways much more complex than you would ever have imagined. A single person's actions may save the entire world, or cause a chain of despair that throws the world into chaos. It's so incredible, truly. This is a worthy world to live in. I couldn't bear to listen to her anymore. Her speech was absurd. Stupid. What?
I'm just thinking this would be really political to say something.
Yeah.
So I can't bear to, it's so stupid, I can't bear to listen to this.
But there was something there. Shameful thought. Somewhere deep inside my heart, I found myself agreeing with her words. Do you get it now? In that case, let's return to where we started. Inishima crossed her arms. I'm gonna talk fast, so play attention. You most certainly are involved with the tragedy of Hope Speak Academy, but I assume you're probably thinking, like, exactly how am I involved, right? Should we move on to that? That's fine, but it's all kind of sudden. All right, I'll tell you. She ignored me entirely and continued, by which I mean I can't really tell you. Which is it? I wish she would have at least been a little bit clearer. I mean, it'd just be so boring if I tell you right now. At least that's what I think. That's why you should find out and on your own exactly what your involvement with the incident is. I think that's the kind of story this is. But find out on my own. This isn't a game. You're probably thinking like, this isn't a game, but I'm not gonna tell you either way. It would fit right in the story, but I tell you what, I'll totally give you a hint. Yeah, that's what I'll do. It's that kind of story. I gave up. Her words were beginning to make less and less sense. There was no point in trying anymore. Which means what exactly? I said I'm gonna give you a hint, and Mishima answered in an annoyed tone. By the way, once I give you the hint, my role here is over. After I give it, I'm gonna go away without saying another word. You're gonna go away? You are? Really?
She's like, Juga's like, okay, I'm gonna go away now. She's like, oh, thank fuck!
I thrust my body.
Jeez, this bitch going on.
I thrust my body forward instinctively until now my body had felt entirely drained. Then tell me, and then go away. But fine. It's not like my feeling to hurt anything. Inashima's lip quivered as if she were hurt by my joy. By the way, this is important. So make sure you write everything down in that little notebook of yours. Sure, I got it, so please tell me. As I pressed her, I held my notebook open. She cleared her throat softly, then spoke loudly as though making an important announcement. Ta-da! Here we go. This one is all about Junko Inashima's goals. Making a V sign with her right hand, she continued. In fact, there are 2 such goals. She dropped one finger, leaving her index finger pointing up. Goal number 1, to thoroughly crush down the school symbol of hope, Izuru Kamakura, until there's nothing left. Then she raised her middle finger. Goal number 2. After a short pause for a dramatic effect, she raised her voice to the point where she was nearly screaming, to kill your beloved darling, Yasuke Matsuda! I heard a thump and realized I dropped my notebook on the floor. My body stiffened and I couldn't even speak. Kill your beloved darling, Yasuke Matsuda? Those incomprehensible words sprouted buds of fear and anxiety within my body. They grew and stretched in a single instant, rooting my body in place. I was unable to move even a single finger, as though I were in a full-body cast. As I stood there, frozen and silent, Inashima continued to stare at me. ... There was no sound. Her mouth was a straight line, tightly closed, as if declaring her intention not to speak anymore. And then after standing there quietly for a few seconds, Inashima gave a small goodbye wave and left my room. The moment I heard the door closing, my body lost every bit of its energy and I collapsed, as if stricken down by anemia. What the... My voice squeezed from deep within my throat, sounding like the chirps of a small dying bird. Matsuda, she's going to kill? Kill. I'm not saying all that.
That's a lot of kills.
The cruel word took over my
so
entire
many
world.
kills.
She can't. She just can't. My face grew unfathomably hot. Every hair on my body seemed to stand on end. She
Every hair?
do that.
Ooh.
My chest had grown hot as well. A fiery fury welled up within my heart as it began to beat faster. And then something strange happened. Magma-like heat bubbled up from the pit of my stomach, gradually swelled inside my body, and exploded as it reached my chest. It spread from my heart and flowed through every muscle in my body. I was just rejuvenated, stimulated. I can't let her do this.
What
I
you're
leapt
telling
out
me
of
is
my
the
room.
adrenaline kicked in.
Yeah. I leapt out of my room and into the corridor as I yelled like a bullet. I shot down the hallway in a fervor that I couldn't believe myself. The pages of Ryoko Otonashi's memory notebook fluttered in the wind. As I listened to the flapping cries of my trusted partner, I screamed inside my heart, I'll protect my world. I'll protect Matsuda. As I run through the dormitory's corridors, air crushed against me like a hurricane. Matsuda, wait for me. I'll be there soon. Ryoko Otonashi is running. I am running, so that I can become the savior of my world and of Matsuda. I hadn't realized it yet, not at the time. My frantic movement toward this goal was itself the beginning of my despair. I had no way of knowing just yet how despair-inducing it was. Volume 2.
Damn.
Look at that. Oh.
Yeah, because it's like a split cover thing if you look at both books. Like, it's a split image. On the other side is the other Monokuma face and Ryoto. So now we're back to it. So we've finished the first book.
Oh, okay.
Because it's 2 books.
Yeah.
Do you want to continue? 11.
That's up to you.
We're going for an hour and a half. We can go for a bit more. We can continue straight on to chapter 2 of book 2.
Okay.
Do you want me to read this one?
Yeah, I'll let you give my voice a break after doing all that screaming. After doing Junko's voice.
It is one of those grating voices, though, isn't it?
Yeah. Doing the Harley voice is a bit straining.
I mean, I have other voices, so book 2, chapter 1 also. Remind me of something. I need to mess around with my VTuber so it doesn't. No, look when I lean back.
Not meant to do that?
I guess, but I don't know if I like it or
Mine
not.
does that. Does it?
I don't know if I like it or not. Do you think it looks okay?
I don't know. I mean, I don't see the issue with it.
Going from side to side. Can you bounce like me or not?
Not like you. My ears bounce.
So
And
like
my mushrooms bounce.
you think your new model's gonna be better for that?
Probably.
It's gonna have two very big things that can bounce.
Yes.
Anyway,
Anyways.
book 2, chapter 1. Yusuke, what is it? Hey Yusuke. I said, what is it? Why are you angry? Are you for real? Because I spent my entire day trying to find a criminal. You should have said it was you who destroyed it all along. Why'd you lie about it? I didn't lie about anything. I just didn't mention it. Same thing. Why did you do something like that? Because you never leave your house anymore, Yasuke.
That's Yasuke.
Yasuke?
How I say it.
Okay. Huh? I thought maybe if I made a sandcastle, you'd come look. There's no point in making them if you don't look at them. It's none of your business. Yasuke, why were you hiding? Shut up. You don't want anyone to see you cry? Shut up, I'll hit you. You can't hit a girl, Yasuke. You're just another blocker girl with no personality. You're not going to make me cry, okay? I'm not trying to make you cry. I won't cry. Because you're the one who really wants to cry. What are you talking about? I don't cry. Why do you keep pretending to be stronger? I'm not pretending! This is so many lines back to back without, like,
Yeah.
description of what's
Yeah.
going on. You have to pretend to be strong in front of me. I don't care if I'm a blockhead girl with no personality. Anyway, if I saw you crying, I bet I'd like you more. It's kind of gross. It's fine if it's gross. Besides, I've decided something. Even if you hide, I'll always be by your side. You can't escape me. You sound like a stalker. I'm not a stalker. I'm your love. Is one of you my love? Is that something you decide by yourself? Hey, since we're lovers, I'll be with you when you're sad. I'm not really sad. There you go. Pretend to be strong again. I'm not pretend to be strong. I'm just not sad. That's okay. You couldn't even remember who I am. She just figured out I was some kid you didn't know or care about. I couldn't even call her mum anymore. In case it scared her, I had to pretend to be someone else's kid. I'm not going to cry over it. Now that she's dead, I've got a load off my shoulders. I don't have to be an actor in a play anymore. What? What?
What?
But it was because of the disease. I said it was unavoidable, didn't I? I'm sick of hearing it. The doctor was always saying that. He didn't do anything. If he were really a doctor, he would have cured my mum's disease. He sounds like a phony. If I were a doctor, I would have easily cured her. Are you going to cry? I said I don't cry. Don't worry, I'll never forget about you, Yasuke. Wait, that's a weird thing to say out of nowhere. It's not weird. I really mean it. Even if I forget everything else in the world, I'll absolutely remember you. Oh. I'm assuming this is a flashback.
So this is a flashback, and then
So she knows him in the past.
essentially his girlfriend, potential girlfriend or whatever,
Got amnesia.
has got the same issue.
Yeah. But if you do forget, what then? Then you'll kill me. Yes, okay. If you maybe they're siblings. You know? You know what I mean? Because same disease and like talking about mother and then you'll kill me. So you know what I mean? If you become a doctor, you'll be able to cure any disease I have, won't you? Yeah, I guess. And if you forget, I'll remember you. But either way, we'll still be together forever. We'd spend our whole lives looking after each other. I knew it. You really are a stalker, aren't you? Anyway, we'll always be together. And hey, since we'll always be together, it's okay to do embarrassing things. It's okay to cry. You can cry forever. You really are weird. Have you given up? You won't laugh at me? I won't laugh at you? You won't try to comfort me? I won't try to comfort you. You won't tell anyone? I won't have any friends to tell it to. I don't have any friends either. Or any family. For the first time in his life, Yasuke Matsuda cried in public. Wow, feel bad. You can. I need it. Where's my water?
Right here. Screams again for me.
Yeah.
Chapter 2. In the usually empty fourth floor of Hope's Peak Academy faculty building in the Fast District, in the East District, only 2 steps of footsteps could be heard. The first belonged to the school's physician, and the other belonged to ultimate neurologist Yasuke Matsuda. A dreary feeling hung in the air as the physician led the way, dark shadows accenting his face. The school jacket that Matsuda wore over his usually poor-fitted dingy white shirt clung to his shoulder stiffly as he walked, a testament to how rarely he wore it. I really owe you for this, the physician said quietly as he walked in front. Matsuda raised his head to better listen. He's nowhere near my specialty. I was at a total loss for what to do, so I appreciate your cooperation with this. He sounded rather relieved, though Matsuda's response came in an entirely indifferent tone. Still, in the future, you should talk to an expert about it, he added on rather sardonically. But failing that, just come to me, I guess. That's about all there is to it, right? The physician choked back his words. From behind, Matsuda couldn't see his face, but it was easy to imagine the man was concerned. Could they not get an expert for some reason? Matsuda took a deep breath and spoke a bit. It's fine. I'm not going to use the excuse that I'm a student on you. Instead, I suppose I really should be helping where I can. I see. In any case, I owe you my thanks. The physician's face relaxed, though Matsuda had only become more tense and irritable. He quietly reminded himself to suppress his emotions. Either way, there's no turning back. In order to protect her, I need to not keep moving. Fall in. Matsuda continued following the physician down the corridor, and as they rounded a corner, the atmosphere immediately changed. This portion was eerily silent, and the drop in temperature was noticeable. Along one side of the corridor, each and every window was obscured by thick curtains. The other side was lined with a number of doors, each with a small, heavily tinted window. To top it all off, this corridor was even longer than the last. Since he had first learned of its existence, Matsuda had a particular image in mind for how it looked. As it turned out, he wasn't far off. Usually all the rooms down here are vacant. Matsuda hadn't asked, but he was mildly curious. The physician must have sensed it. Guess he means they're only used for emergency. I'm sorry.
There's a button.
I know, but it's
Then use it.
hard for...
Then ask me.
The pair continue with Matsuda glancing around the corridor. I love you. Absent-mindedly until the physician before him suddenly stopped in his tracks. This is it. He gestured to the rather plain door next to him. Honestly, it was a wonder that he was able to pick it out at all, as it looked just as ordinary as all the other doors. All of the necessary equipment has already been delivered here. But, are you certain you can go by yourself? The headmaster had asked for 2 people. It's fine, Matsuda replied flatly. No, but the physician hesitated to say it further. Matsuda's blunt response rendered him silent. Both the headmaster and the steering committee had given me full access in their absence. Besides, it would make no difference if 2 people went. In fact, an additional person in the room would likely affect the subject in a negative capacity. So, if it's all the same to you, I'd like you to leave it to me from here. Rather meek in response. I'm to argue. He gave up and nodded. I see. Well, I'll leave it to you. He turned away, rounded the corner into the depths of the next corridor. After watching him leave, Matsuda set his sights back to the plain door in front of him and turned the handle. Beyond the doorway was a wide, dimly lit space filled to the brim with various electronic devices. The equipment was far more impressive than that of the school's humble infirmary, or even its research facilities. Well, that's Hope's Peak Academy for you. It was all Matsuda could think as his eyes scanned the room before him. As he entered, however, a tense atmosphere enveloped him. The fluorescent lights overhead seemed hardly functional in comparison to the ones in the classrooms. The sole window against the back wall was obscured by a thick hanging curtain. Overall, it was dim enough that the light emitted from the electronic equipment stood out more. In the center of the room, surrounded by those small, shimmering lights, was a bed. Matsuda's gaze drifted toward the figure upon it. Slowly, he approached the bed of the closest to him and studied the boy. He had a soft complexion and a pure, honest face, as if he were a kind and noble swordsman. But something else caught Matsuda. A painful-looking wound on his head, wrapped several times over with a bandage. Matsuda knew who the boy was. His name was Shoshin Urasame, and he was the leader of the student council, as well as being the ultimate student council president. He was also one of the sole survivors of the tragedies of Hope Peak. Hope's Peak. After looking him over once more, Matsuda's eyes lingered again on the face. The boy lying flat on his back and his eyes firmly open, though they saw nothing. They stared straight up at the ceiling without moving, without blinking. It's been a while. Talking to another person. But there was no response. He picked up the medical records next to the bed and looked them over. All of the information written more or less he had been already informed of. Shoshin Murasame was involved in the tragedy of Hope's Peak Academy, during which he suffered serious head trauma. Fortunately, he escaped any life-threatening injury. Physically, he's been able to recover. However, for what's now been several weeks, he has been unresponsive. The reason as to why remains unknown. Oh, man.
See, that worked.
Yeah. Shoshin Murasame was involved. No, we read that. As Matsuda returned the medical record to the bedside table, he spoke up once more. You remember who I am? I'm Yasuke Matsuda from your class. I'm the ultimate neurologist they were talking about. We've met several times before. As expected, there was no response. Matsuda continued prompting him further. So why do you think I came here? Slowly lowering himself into a chair, he watched Murasame's face. His eyes studied it carefully, searching for even the slightest hint of a reaction. I was asked by the headmaster and the members of the steering committee, so I told them I'd help you recover. I tried to ask what happened, but they wouldn't tell me a thing. In fact, they did the exact opposite. They want to cover it up, and in order to do that, it seems they want to hear the full story from you. Matsuda paused, emphasizing the next words to leave his mouth. Or at least, that's what they say their intentions are. Just as before, Murasame showed no response. Regardless, Matsuda continued. If you ask me, they're a bit sore that you're still around, and that's why they sent me. To try and speed up the process. But even if I do everything I can here, you're not going to be able to stay at Hope's Peak. I mean, it doesn't really matter to me either way. Having you gone is probably their best case scenario. But what if you don't disappear? If you hang around long enough, that'd really screw over the plans, wouldn't it? When that happens, I wonder what they'll do. Once they get the story out of you, they'll be under a lot more pressure. As Matsuda explained the circumstances, he picked up Murasame's right hand. He lifted it just for a moment and then released. However, the boy's hand showed no sign of strength or muscle movement and dropped straight back onto the bed. But I can't really be sure about that either. They're already trying to hide away the student council president. There must be someone in particular behind the incident. Matsuda leaned in close until their faces were nearly touching. He peered into Murasame's eyes and with empty, unseeing stared back. So, what do you think? Know who the culprit is? And if so, why are they being protected? Of course, there was no reply. Murasame's eyes failed to show even the slightest recognition. It really is useless. Matsuda shook his head, growing frustrated. Well, maybe not. It's just the examination itself that was the failure. He scratches his head, mumbling to himself. Oh, that's right. An idea had sparked in Matsuda's mind, and as he spoke once more, he feigned as casual a tone. By any chance, do you know anyone by the name of Shinman? Murasame twitched slightly. His eyes did the same. Instantly, Matsuda's gaze narrowed into a glare, and Murasame turned directly toward him. Despite the sudden development, Matsuda's reaction was quite calm. Calm? What? Calm. Knew it. He couldn't help but feel discouraged. It would be better if he were still unconscious. Unfortunately, he wasn't, although Matsuda had expected such a prepared for it a long time ago. This was the point where he had no choice but to fall in, like a fate that he had been doomed to since his first breath. The curse of an unchangeable destiny. He knew that. No matter what he did, it could not be stopped. The ground he had been firmly walking upon up to at this point had just collapsed beneath him. As he fell, he sank to the bottom of the deep abyss, and the taste of it filled his mouth. Though it was only a metaphor, at that time it was entirely real. Even as he fell, Matsu knew exactly what was happening.
You want me to take over?
Or you want to take over, or that too?
Yeah, right. Yeah, I think we can do that.
I'll let you do it after I think about
I'm about to
Con.
give out. You did do a lot. That poor little boy did not want to sleep tonight.
Yeah.
He was really fighting me. I mean, physically fighting me. Like, smacking me with a cinema roll.
Oh.
Okay. This may be the last one. Because again, we've done nearly 50 pages already, so. Chapter 3 of Book 2. Dazzling sunlight that bore down on the pavement outside the dorms was so immensely bright that I couldn't help but squint. Strangely, at the same time, it wasn't strong enough to feel the heat on my skin. In fact, I found myself shivering as a chilly breeze blew past me. Regardless, I sat down on a nearby bench, feeling entirely relaxed and free of stress, and let out a content sigh. On such a peaceful day, I almost shouted it happily into the wind itself, but before the urge overtook me, a thought entered my mind. Curiously, I turned my head to the side. Wasn't there somewhere I needed to go? I took Ryoko Otonoshi's memory notebook out of my backpack, opening it to verify what exactly it was that I needed to do, but my hand suddenly stopped. By chance, the page I opened my notebook to was mostly taken up by a drawing of a man. My heartbeat grew a little bit faster in my chest. Matsuda! The picture didn't seem all that different from the real thing. Well, my heart was only beating faster by a little bit. Perhaps it's not really that similar after all? Maybe if I change it a little, it'll look more like him. It wasn't that I couldn't remember Matsuda's face, I just used my heartbeat in place of my memory, that's all. Maybe it's the eyes, or perhaps the mouth. I thought to myself as I made edits here and there. After some time, my heart was pounding heavily, like it would in front of the real thing. Yeah, it's probably much better. I patiently examined it, repeating his name in my mind. Matsuda, Matsuda, Matsuda. See? My heart's pounding. I felt it beating even harder as I brought the portrait closer. The nearer it drew to my face, the stronger the feeling in my chest became. I don't think I'm perverted or anything like that, but I wanted so much more than just a kiss from the likeness of Matsuda that I held before me. But seconds later, I found myself tilting my head again. Wasn't there somewhere I need to go? With that thought in mind, I bid farewell to Matsuda's picture and began flipping through my notebook once more. After skimming pages for a short while, I finally remembered, but at the same time I felt my mood shift in an instant. I had no idea why, but my entire body began trembling. I remembered that ridiculous murderous confession. That's right, Junko Inoshima also told me her goals that time. Kill your beloved darling, Yasuke Matsuda. He said that. Even if I don't remember, I'm still involved. I was still shaking. There's no way that was right. I have to warn Matsuda of the danger he's in. I need to go back to the biology building in the East District. That's where Matsuda's lab is. I have no time to lose. I leapt up from the bench and began to sprint with all my might. I can only assume there was either a break between classes or it was lunchtime, as the campus was more crowded than usual with students. I pushed my way past countless people, refusing to slow down for anything. Naturally, those in my way shouted and yelped in surprise and anger. They had nothing to do with me. I bolted as fast as I could across the pavement, leaving my thoughts behind. Each and every one of those unneeded, idle thoughts flew away with the wind that rushed past me. It was a bullet of love, firing directly towards Matsuda. Cutting through the central plaza, I arrived at the East District. I continued pushing my way past the other students, practically diving towards the biology building. My throat had become dry and pained. My breath staggered and heavy. I leapt up the stairs, continuing to push down other thoughts. Like how much my throat hurt, or how much I'd like to take a long and much needed rest, and kept sprinting. I didn't even bother to knock on the lab's door when I arrived. So I threw it open. Masuda! I screamed with all my remaining strength. In the room stood a short boy around my age who immediately straightened up. His brother began trembling with wider eyes. He turned to me and completely rigid and frozen. Somehow it didn't look familiar at all. Trying to think of it, my heart isn't racing or beating any harder. Could it be you're not Masuda, are you? That's not a clear answer. What do you mean by I ended up yelling louder than I should have. I was more focused on catching my breath. I meant I'm not him? Then where's Masuda? I looked around the lab frantically. Oh, damn it, there's no one else here. He's out now, probably. Probably. If you looked for him, you'd know. I rolled back at him. I was at my wit's end. Come on. Speaking of come on. Music. Yeah, because it's gone all the way. You look at me. Yeah. I continue to lament my situation on the ground. After a moment, the boy ran to my side. It's okay. You shouldn't worry so much. I'm sure he'll be back soon. He looked down at me with concerned eyes. Why is he so worried about me? Maybe it wasn't just concern in his eyes. Maybe he wasn't worried at all. Actually, you're a little suspicious, I know, huh? Is that just your personality? I mean, maybe you're the kind of boy that has his eyes on vulnerable, clearly distraught high school girls. Keep away. I fell onto my behind and tried to scoot away from the boy, who quickly looked away. I was shocked to realize my skirt had flipped up, showing much more than it should have. That happens a lot in this franchise.
Yes, it does.
Frantically, I patted down my skirt once more. The boy, still looking away with a bright red face, spoke up. No, that's not it. You seem worried. I was only trying to help. You lie. This is the first time we've met. I'm a complete stranger. It's totally weird to be concerned for someone you've never met. You probably have an ulterior motive or lewd intentions or Suddenly, the boy's expression and tone seemed far more serious. Complete stranger? He turned and looked at me, seemingly surprised at that reaction. So then, have we met someone before something? Once again, the boy seemed startled, though his demeanor quickly became more cordial. My name is Makoto Naegi.
Oh my god.
Did you miss me, bitches? He said, suddenly introducing himself. It's a pleasure. As I replied, my line of sight dropped down. So one chapter we've had Kyoko, the other chapter we've had Makoto. Down to Ryota. Is fucking Nagito going to show up? I'm going to kill myself if Nagito shows up. Ryoko Otanashi's memory notebook. Obviously, his name didn't sound familiar to me at all, but I checked for any sight of it in my notebook regardless. There wasn't anywhere in there. So we haven't met before. As the look on my face shifted to confusion, so did his own. Each reaction of his seemed more and more suspicious. No matter what he says, this guy is definitely some kind of pervert. You leave Makoto alone. Holding my notebook in one hand, I stood and questioned him further. So, are you a student here? Huh? You don't have a reason? You really was switched off for. I know in my eyes I set him down. I know there's a reason. It's just, well, I wouldn't call it anything special. As he trailed off, he looked away once more. He was becoming more and more suspicious by the second. I continued to eye him curiously. Okay, fine. The boy nodded, reluctantly answering a question. I'm here since I'm particularly lucky. Excuse me? I'm the ultimate lucky student. Ultimate lucky student? For some reason, I was hesitant to dig any deeper. So you're saying you're talented? Good luck? I don't really get it either, but that's what the school tells me. Each year, the school chooses one person from a nationwide lottery of ordinary high school students. And that student is a good host week. Yes, we know, Makoto. We've done this song and dance so many fucking times. It's the ultimate lucky student. So I guess by chance, I was the winner. There's something strange about that. That seems like kind of a ripoff. Yeah, I guess you could say that. Naegi seemed just as confused by the approach as I was. Regardless, his innocence seemed more and more apparent. I was still very wary to trust him. It was much easier to keep the assumption that he was a pervert. Not that I only have sex on the mind or anything. He really does, doesn't she? All the female protagonists in this series, for some reason, are really horny. So, what's Mr. Ultimate Lucky Student doing in this lab? Do you happen to know, Matsuda? Don't lie to me. Well... Naegi pulled something out of his uniform pocket that resembled a thin smartphone. Matsuda dropped this. I know how much of a hassle it is to lose something, so I thought I'd give it back to him, but... What is that? I've never seen it before. Well, I'm sure this isn't your first time seeing it. Look, it's an electronic student handbook. Oh boy, here we go. Nagi explained that the handbook was only given out to students from the main school. It's a high-tech piece of equipment for a variety of uses, as well as acting as a student's ID. Student doesn't have theirs on hand, they lose access to certain facilities. I found it by a bush out in the courtyard. It's more of a pain to lose this, so I thought I should come bring it to him as quickly as possible. But he doesn't seem to be here. So then, does that mean no, he's not a... No good, I can't do it. What? I won't apologize for saying you were suspicious. You're only pretending to be a nice guy. I'm not suspicious, he stammered, shaking his head. I'm not pretending to be nice or anything either. I just came here to give back my student handbook. That's really all there is to it. Really? Really? Well, I guess whether or not he's telling the truth, I'll just have to believe him for now. Fine, I understand. You believe me? Naegi breathed a sigh of relief, holding his hand to his chest. I lifted my arm to point directly at him. In my head, momentum of it made a bold sound, as though I was an Ace Attorney. Really? We're getting Ace Attorney references now? What you said there was pretty misleading. You should have said that from the very beginning that you weren't suspicious. Sorry? I wasn't really sure why he was apologizing, but he did seem sincerely sorry about it. But you know, that's pretty unlucky. I mean, coming all the way here to return last time only for him to find he wasn't here. Maybe that's rude to say to someone who's the ultimate lucky student. No, I'm used to this bad luck now, Nagi replied, his expression seemingly somewhat resigned. Claiming to be the ultimate lucky student and then saying that he's used to his bad luck sounds like his talent is super unreliable. What a strange guy. Strange? I gotta find a better word that suited him more than that. Just a strange guy. He's so ordinarily ordinary that it makes him strange. In content of my notebook, every student at Hope Peak Academy is motivated and looks towards the future. They're highly competitive and overflowing with ambition. They're brimming with hope. If I were in his shoes, I'd probably feel bad. But it didn't seem to be the case with him. Maybe that's why he seemed so strange. While I was considering it, Naegi interrupted my train of thought. But if that's true, without realizing it, I asked him to repeat himself. If that's true? It's not important, he replied hurriedly. He must have been talking to himself. If it's not important, then you can tell me. What do you mean by, if that's true? For some reason I found myself pressing him on what it was he said before. Everything about this boy's demeanor just made him strange to me. Hey, tell me already. If it's not that important, then you should be able to tell me, right? Answer me! Okay? Did you say it twice like that? I only said it once, didn't I? Did you really? I've already forgotten. This girl is so useless. Whatever, just hurry up and tell me. If you don't, I'll end up forgetting what you said in the first place. I mean, it's only a rumor. I was never sure if I could actually believe it. But I was thinking it might be true after all. A rumor? I pointed at him once more. This time only a few centimeters from his forehead. Was it a rumor about me? I won't stand for any awful rumors out there that are dragging my name through the mud. No, it's nothing like that. What kind of rumor is it? It's... Aggie avoided eye contact as it continued. It's just that the rumor says that there's a student on campus that's become forgetful. Become forgetful? I think it might be you. Somehow I couldn't say anything more. Any knowledge of how to string together a sentence had entirely disappeared from my mind, same. I'd wanted to ask him if he knew me before I had become forgetful, but I found myself unable. Because I forgot, probably. I suddenly raised my voice out of nowhere. A violent shudder ran through my body as though I'd been struck by lightning. What's wrong? Naegi eyed me with a worried look on his face. I quickly opened Ryoko Otonashi's memory notebook again and flipped through the pages and flipped and flipped and flipped. And then for a moment, I felt as though I was blinded by an explosion of light. The memories in my notebook collided with a flash of inspiration, causing a violent chemical reaction. Sandwiched between 2 pages of my notebook was a single letter. Dear Mrs. Ultimate Pitiful Forgetful Girl, I've taken all the precious past merit. Oh boy. So Junko has messed with this.
Yeah.
I've taken all... Oh, I can't even do a Valley act. Do you want to read this? bit with it being so much Junko or
What
this
the
letter?
dear Mrs.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Dear Miss Ultimate Pitiful Forgetful Girl, I've taken all the precious past memories you so meticulously chronicled. There are a lot of them, and they're filled to the brim with memories of Yasuka Matsuda. That's the entire weight of your past right there, isn't it? Isn't it? Am I right? Is it? Hey.
I think I can.
Okay.
I think it was just that bit.
Yeah, there you go.
Earlier you said a student had become forgetful, didn't you? I ran stop, filled to the brim with excitement. So then the students here knew about me before I had become forgetful. You too, right? You also knew me before I was like this. Come on. Calm down. Naegi held up his hands, trying to placate. Oh, placate? What? His words, man. Placate? Oh, fucking no. I just like to explain up. I don't know what happened, but it seems like it was due to some sort of illness. Being honest, I wasn't really paying too much attention, because I'm not really all that good at talking to people. Fine, just hurry up and tell me. Did you know me before I was forgetful, did you? Well, go on. Yeah, I did. He finally gave a small nod. I knew it, I muttered quietly to myself. The students at the school knew me before I was forgetful. That means I became that way after coming to this school. So then, what about that blackmail letter Junko Inoshima had written to me about my past memories? Did I really ever have those other important memory notebooks? No, maybe it was all just a trap so she could get me to cooperate with her. In other words, nothing but a lie. In that case, what else did you say? Let's see. She told me that she killed someone in the Central Plaza. She also told me that she was going to kill Matsuda, but wait. Does someone as strange sounding as this Junko Inoshima even exist in the first place? Yes, she does. As the thoughts whirled around in my mind, I tried to remain focused on the notebook. There were two key phrases that seemed to be more significant: lie and Junko Inoshima. The words written on this page began to mingle with the thoughts in my mind. Swirling as well, they gradually circled faster, turning and rushing around until they were all mixed together. At that point, for some reason, I felt a strange tingling sensation deep in the depths of my head. The sensation is, I feel like I'm remembering something. Hey. An annoying voice came pounding into my thoughts. It was Naegi, so very unbothered by everything. At that moment, I began to lose concentration on my notebook. I think I can always remember it. Hey! Shut up! Hey! Come on, I'm trying to concentrate here. Hey! Would you shut up already? I shouted at him as I raised my face from the notebook, and then I froze. An unfamiliar man stood there before the boy. Oh, fuck, who is this? Who is that? The man's hands gripped Naegi's shoulders. He wore an unfamiliar school uniform and had long, unfamiliar hair. His pitch black silhouette was a stark contrast to his ghostly white complexion. Oh, okay, it's this guy. Piercing eyes, not unlike a reptile, seemed to be carved into his face. Our eyes met for a brief moment, and immediately I thought he was dead. I thought Junko killed him in like one of the previous chapters. And immediately a siren blared in my head, letting me know something was severely wrong. My heart began pounding faster and faster to the point where I thought I might be having a heart attack. Hey! Naegi's expression was that of shock. It was accompanied by his body going entirely stiff. He came in after us. Do you know each other? If you do happen to know him, you do me a favor and tell him to let go of me? Unfortunately, I don't have any idea who he is, I answered. Wait, what was that? The strange man growled in a low voice. Don't tell me you've forgotten me already. That's a little harsh, don't you think? Fortunately, that is kind of a thing, is forgetting.
Yeah.
Wait, so you really do know him? No, he asked, more puzzled than before. The man's eyes drifted down to him distrustfully. Whether we have met before, or whether it was simply fate, neither of any concern to you. You've just been caught up in it all. In the end, it's just bad luck.
In the end.
In the end. How many times is French just going to say that line? Quickly dropped my line of sight to my notebook, skimming for any memories about this stranger. There was only one person who seemed to match. Could you be Ishiki Madurai? I was always trying to remember what his name was.
Yeah.
Especially because we saw him in the Nagito short.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. Like that night in the Central Plaza, Madurai, was killed by my own target. So he did die. Right? Is this a clone or your own target? Despite what I said, he seemed completely uninjured to me. You see, I am is he the ultimate immortal?
Oh god.
It's gonna be some bullshit like, I am the ultimate actual superpower. Like, this franchise goes from, I'm the ultimate person that's slightly lucky, that's a superpower. I'm the ultimate, like, normal career path. And then there's just someone like, oh, by the way, I'm the ultimate person at not dying.
Mm-hmm.
Team, I doubt the man laughed strangely as a smile grew on his face. Immortal? What is this, a fantasy novel? You're not being serious, are you? You say that for certain? What do you mean? I'm truly immortal. Why or not? It would be unexplainable. How am I now uninjured? I don't know the answer to that. But you're making it sound like a video game or something. Okay, if this is also in the simulation. Can I ask something? No, you cut in. The guy who came in after us, Madara, right? I heard you right. You don't mean Madara from the student council. Student council, I said. With that thing in. I couldn't fathom seeing this creepy man dressed fully in black in the student council. I see the boy knows. Madara grimaced his eyes as he murmured his words. That's right. I'm a survivor from the student council. Survivor? You're still pretending to be innocent after so long? Again, he clearly knows me from before. Alright?
Yeah.
Or knows Ryoto from before shit happened. Madara opened his eyes once more and stared at me carefully. It's because of the tragedy that all this happened. That's this reason why the student council was in the state it's in. I was lucky to escape with my life, but everyone else had. Madara paused and shook his head, as though discounting his own words. No, that's not it. Perhaps it's wrong for me to say I was lucky to survive. It would be more accurate to say I simply remained alive. Yes, that's it. Luckily, I remained alive. I was not even given the chance to fight, and for that, I shall not forgive them. I will absolutely not forgive them of stealing my chance to protect the student council. Who was it? Who did it? Madara spat as he clenched his teeth around his hands around Naegi's shoulders. The boy's face distorted with pain, but despite the discomfort, he still tried to interject. Excuse me. I may not know the details, but I understand you feel angry about what happened to the student council. And I understand you must hate the person who did this. But I think it might be good to instead consider rebuilding the student council before anything else. Rebuild it? Me? Madara scoffed. Nah, you don't even think someone like me belongs in the student council to begin with. Huh? I was only elected so the other members will be able to feel relaxed while performing their duties. I'm only the ultimate bodyguard after all. That's what he is. Ultimate bodyguard. Not the ultimate immortal like I was thinking. After all, I did what I could for the student council. Then, now, and forever. I'm just a protector after all. I heard Madara grind his teeth as he said the words. His voice was filled with bitter hatred. But during that time of emergency, I was not able to help them. I wasn't even a target during the incident. Perhaps the criminal did not consider me to be a member of the student council. Can you even imagine how humiliating that has been for me? I wasn't even given a chance to utilize my skills. The feelings of having my own talent trampled on was... Try to think of what it must feel like, you bastards. Somewhat despair, probably. Madara gripped Naegi's shoulders tighter than ever. Jesus Christ, Naegi's getting crushed. Boy cried out as the pain grew sharper. Now I can only protect the remaining dignity of the student council. Will not end until I've atoned, until I've exacted my revenge. I must confront my failure. I am no longer able to sit idly by. I'm willing to do anything. The man's eyes were stained red, not focused on anything, on any one thing anymore. He seemed dead set on nothing other than driving home his point. I don't know anything about what happened. I tried to clear myself of anything he suspected me of doing. An overwhelming fear stumbled upon me as I tried to find an excuse to run away. I don't have anything to do with the student council, or know anything about any incidents that happened, or anything dangerous of that sort. I'm just an innocent bystander. As if, Madara growled, as though you were delivering a death sentence to an enemy. We discussed it before. You know all about the incident. I really don't know anything about it. If you think I'm lying, then please check my notebook. I opened Ryoto Otonashi's memory notebook and waved it in front of Madara. I haven't written anything in here about it. This is my proof. I don't know anything about it, and I have nothing to do with it. Would you cut the crap already? A voice overflowing with fury pierced through my notebook. Spoke more directly. The notebook of yours doesn't prove a thing. Why are you hiding the truth? Are you the criminal's accomplice? Held to a vow of silence? Or maybe it's that you're... I said I have nothing to do with it. I suddenly screamed at him. Instantly, I regretted doing so. It was only going to fuel his fire. After all, I was certain he would explode at me in return, but it seemed my prediction was entirely incorrect. So much for being the ultimate analyst then. In fact, his expression was surprisingly blank. All emotion left his face. He didn't think so much as blink. It was though time itself had frozen for him. In the silence, and beneath the weight of Madarai's malice, Makoto looked at himself timidly. Come to think of it, I haven't heard this boy's name yet, have I? Madarai remained expressionless, with only his mouth moving. I'm Makoto Naegi. Madarai laughed softly and leaned down to speak in Naegi's ear. Say, Naegi, were you listening to what I was saying earlier? Huh? Suddenly, Madarai released Naegi's shoulders, only to place both hands firmly on either side of the boy's head. He is creepy. He is very big built, though. He is a big boy. Ah! Naegi's face instantly morphed into a terrified expression. I told you before, didn't I? I'm willing to do anything for vengeance. Madarai seemed more demon than man as he opened his mouth. He laughed with a sharp grin. His voice dripped with deadly venom. Iddy! This is bad. This guy is absolutely insane. The only thing my body was able to do in that instance was shiver and tremble like a frightened little rabbit. I have no choice to make a run for it, and fast. You're not thinking of running, are you? I thought in an effort to move, frozen midair. It's a fucking Looney Tunes shit, man. You do that, what do you think will happen to this boy here? Why has he spoken out? His face changed shades from blue to ghostly white. What a colourful face that boy has. This is the last one you get, so watch yourself. If you don't listen to me, this guy's head will be also tragically crushed in an unfortunate accident. What the? I felt nothing but bewilderment as both of them stared at me. Say something. Madarai's stare terrorized me. The gaze of a man who was about to do something reckless. Help me! Naegi's eyes pleaded to me in need of a savior. Terrorizing eyes and pleading eyes, both entirely focused on me, and what a bother. It was a hassle to bother with either. There's nothing I'd really be able to do. Or even wanted to do, I guess. That's why for me, this was something that had nothing to do with me. That's right, nothing to do with me. Sure, I happened to be swept along with the current, but that's not all. I had no part in how this situation came to be. And did. I don't even know anything about what happened. That's why it was. None do me, none do me, none. I mumble. I mumble quietly, reminding the people in front of me, as well as myself. I stood there, muttering my own personal magical enchantment. Huh? Huh? Both Madarai and Naegi looked at me with vacant expressions, stunned at what I was saying. What do you mean it has nothing to do with you? A confused Madarai growled, raising his voice. There's no way you're not involved. At the least, it's your fault this boy here has been caught up in this. You're wrong! She said the line! I found myself repeating flatly. I'm not the reason he got involved in this whole thing. He did it himself. It's not my fault he has god-awful luck in the end. In the end. I really have nothing to do with this. Hey, wait, as Naegi tried to interrupt me. I raised my voice to continue my argument. It's a shame. It's obviously obvious Naegi has no luck at all. I said in the calmest tone I could imagine. Just so happens his luck is bad enough that it can lead to the loss of life. It's just something he has to deal with. Anyway, no matter the situation, it's going to be forgotten. After all, I forget everything sooner or later, with the exception of Matsuda. As far as I see it, there's not really much out there that actually does have anything to do with me. I continue to mutter to myself in these words. In all truth, I really had nothing to do with it. Then I'll forget this too. My brief meeting with Naegi, the information he knew. I'll forget all of that. There's no reason for me to feel bad about him. That's why I always say this has nothing to do with me. If you decide what you're going to do. I don't know, I keep telling you. This has nothing to do with me, I answer blankly. Is that so? Madarai bared his teeth, murmuring in his low voice. I'll be prepared to see the full extent of my resolve. There really are strange people in the world. He would go really fast to kill another human in order to prove a point. It's insane to think he would accomplish anything at all by killing Naegi. The boy really doesn't have any luck. He's gotten himself into a hostage situation after all. This is the end. Midori gripped Naegi's skull with all the strength in his hands and, "You're wrong!" Fuck's sake. How many times does it just happen? The fact they somehow worked a way to fit in the "Know Your Wrongs" into the novel in like the exact same way, and it just feels natural. The voice resounded throughout the room, instantly interrupting the tension in the air. At that moment, a figure flew into the lab and slid toward Midori, shortly before hammering the back of their fist into his nose and causing it to bend to a strange angle. His eyes squinted and near closed in pain, causing him to lose sight of his attacker as he fell. After giving Midori a further blow to his chest, the attacker turned to Naegi and took his head in their hands before moving to pick him up. They set him gently on the nearby bed and turned around just to see Midori lunging towards him. The stranger flew into a surprisingly graceful roundhouse kick and it hit him square on the chin, as it had been his sole weak point. Midori's head rocked violently as he fell to the ground with no energy left. The whole incredible scene I just witnessed, it passed in the blink of an eye. As the kick ended, the stranger came into a silent land on the ground. The skirt gently lifted down. "Oh, there a girl?" "Ikusaba! Fuck's sake!" "Ikusaba!" Naegi called out from the bed in relief. "In relief? What?" "Ikusaba, I guess that's this girl's name." "Yes, get used to saying it. A lot.
Yep.
The 16th student, hidden somewhere in the school. Watch out for her." Apparently Midori was not watching out for her. Either way, I was expecting Sakura, to be honest. That was who I was imagining as soon as I was like, someone came in, "Oh, they're a girl." I was expecting it to be Sakura, because they're very similar builds. Like, very big builds. Either way, this is the first time I've heard it. They got up from the bed and ran hurriedly to the girl. "Thank you, Ikusaba. Thank you so much." The fact that Ikusaba is protecting Makoto is kind of funny, though. Oh god, there's ships for this, isn't there? He said, repeating his gratitude over and over again. Despite the praise, however, the girl remained entirely calm and composed in a response. Well, I say calm and composed, but it really seemed like more like she just didn't feel anything. I was only helping my classmate, she mumbled quietly. As she spoke, she stubbornly avoided his gaze, but it's odd, looking at her now. You would never guess she was fighting brilliantly only a few moments beforehand. But Ikusaba, why are you here anyway? Admittedly, I was wondering the same thing. Usually it's only Matsuda in this lab. That's what I'd written down in my notes. At least, and not only do he seem to be absent today, but he's had several visitors. Maybe he's been working on something big. It's funny how, like, there is so many people here now. You know? You know? Are you good? Are you falling asleep on me?
Like closing my eyes over here.
Are you falling asleep on me?
I might be a little sleepy.
Well, wake up. Grab a spot and wake up.
Or is this one chapter?
I
This
don't
is a
know.
very
I've never read
long
this book.
chapter.
Yeah, well, I'm really enjoying it. We need to finish this chapter though, so we can sleep. Ikusaba raised her voice slightly. It was only slight. It was only still hardly above a whisper. I had to strain just to hear it all. I was just passing by. Why'd you phrase it like a question? I asked without thinking. Same old Ikusaba. This is like the only time I'm really seeing Ikusaba interact with anyone though as well. I continued as if he'd heard nothing from me. So you were just passing by when you came across what was happening and jumped in to save us. Ikusaba nodded silently in response. That's incredible. You really saved me. I was getting worried for a moment there. Thank you, Ikusaba. Thank you so much. And I sighed a breath of relief and continued to repeat his sincere thanks, seemingly embarrassing Ikusaba in the process. Oh. I was really lucky you happened to be passing by. I was so lucky. Luck. Somehow that was how we were saved. Pure luck. Even if you didn't believe in the concept, all thanks to a strange person who was passing by, you were able to escape from such a predicament. Astonishingly convenient, good luck. Yeah, get used to that. That's just how this fucking franchise works. On the other hand, Midori's actions were the polar opposite. So this is ultimate luck. Whether good or bad, I couldn't help but feel that this was all because of Makoto's, Naegi's talent. The fact that I'm just defaulting to Makoto. We were caught up in the entire mess. Excuse me? Well, I suddenly realized that Ikusaba was standing directly in front of me. I don't notice her. Did she teleport or something? For some reason, she remained silent. waited for her to show any sign at all that she was going to speak, but I ended up giving in and speaking up first. Nice to meet you. Thank you very much for earlier. Naegi blurted out in a surprise. He walked into our mutual line of sight, blinking disbelief. What was so surprising? I'm Mukuru Kisaba, the 16th student. Not hidden somewhere in the school right now. Will be later, though. I told my head a bit to the side in response. Ikusaba spoke a little louder. I'm the ultimate soldier from the 78th class. Nice to meet you. She spoke without blinking, her mouth moving as subtle as possible. The moment she finished, she returned to utter silence. If I were to guess, she seemed to be a quiet girl by nature. Then again, she's the ultimate soldier. She probably acts like this around everyone. Perhaps all the soldiers are like this. I haven't met any members of the military before, so I have no way of knowing it all. I was in silence with her. Naegi was silent as well, though just as puzzled as before, and I'm also puzzled why this chapter lasts so long. Mirai, still foaming at the mouth, was silent too, of course. Everyone was silent. An awkward, lengthy silence, but the awkwardness didn't last long. After some time, I forgot about it entirely. Instead, something else entirely occupied my mind. And now that I think about it, Matsuda isn't out, for fuck's sake. That's right, the only thing I can ever remember is Matsuda. I wonder if he's on an errand. This is literally how ADHD works. You're like in the middle of a conflict. You're like, I wonder what's happening over there. Anyway, what's happening here? I forgot. I want to see him soon. I hope he comes back quickly. My thoughts of Matsuda continue as I stare into space, and the girl crouched down suddenly. I think her name was Ikusaba. What's wrong? The surprised boy, Naegi, I think, asked. The girl replied in a cautious tone. Someone's here. Instantly, the atmosphere in the lab became far more tense. Are they hiding? Sorry for interrupting. I wasn't trying to hide, but you really shouldn't spread rumors about people. That voice, which called out from nowhere in particular, had each of us instinctively looking around the lab. Huh? Regardless, no matter how hard we looked, there was no sign of anyone. No, I'm here. Look, over here. Where? Feeling somewhat panicked, I restlessly continued scanning the room. Over there, Naegi called out, pointing towards the lab's door, where Ikusaba was headed. And a little later than others, right in front of the door stood a boy with a pure, innocent face. You finally noticed me. His face lacked any distinctive features, and strangely enough, his voice seemed to lack any uniqueness as well. Is it fucking Nagito?
Probably.
Bread boy.
Yeah.
It took you a little while, but you noticed me in the end. That's my talent's fault, so it can't be helped. I'll forgive you. Why is there a kid here? Nagi blurted out, startled by the boy. Hey, you shouldn't treat me like a kid. I don't think it's that right to see someone with a baby face. But I'm a... What's this say? What's this say? The big word.
Meritorious?
I don't know. That's why I asked you. As Academy. I even went to the trouble of using difficult word. Like Meritorious. Yeah, it is fucking difficult, especially when you have dyslexia. And what's all this? The boy's line of sight fell to the floor where Mirai like, oh my, it looks like you've gotten yourselves into quite a mess. But you're wrong about that. No, you're wrong. He quickly ran in between the boy and Mirai, trying to obstruct his view. It's not what it looks like. I can explain. The boy patted his hand on Naegi's shoulder. Don't fret. There's no need to make excuses around me. I'm actually also investigating this case. Isn't that right, big sis? Okay, so it is. Despite being called to back up the boy's point, I didn't remember anything about it at all. I wasn't even on the matter any more than hesitant. I guess so, I said as I tilted my head to the side. Huh? Don't tell me you've forgotten about me again. He folded his arms, looking strangely happy as he nodded. Well, I'm used to people forgetting who I am, so it's fine. Just another side effect of my talent. I mean, look, I said I have no presence, didn't I? People don't notice me very often, and they say that they forget about me a lot. You know, big sis? The boy started rubbing his hands and raising his voice again. I'd like to request that this time, when I say my name, you remember it. I am Yuto Kamishiro, ultimate spy from the 77th class. Wait a second. I protested as the boy came closer. I opened up Ryoto Otanashi's memory notebook and quickly skimmed to try and find any memories that mentioned the boy. Oh, I got it! Kamishiro, I remember you. Kamishiro with absolutely no unique features whatsoever. I wouldn't say none, he murmured. Gisabo with a neutral expression. He looks like a doll made by an inept politician. What? Nothing but bad vibes. I don't think she was the type to say things so bluntly. Kamishiro glared at her, for a moment before his gaze returned to me as he began speaking once more. He did so in an over-the-top voice. Do you want to take over for a little bit? Because it's killing me now.
I'm beginning to wonder if this chapter is even going to end.
It's just one chapter for the whole rest of the book.
That's what I'm just about wondering.
I don't think so.
Can you scroll a few pages down? Maybe we need to be at a stopping point anyways. Without finishing the chapter. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, okay. No, that's... What page was we on?
Well, then, it really...
No? Politician. Yeah, yes.
Okay. Yeah, so I'm on this page.
Yeah.
Well, then it's really awful. You're so forgetful, big sis. When you told me the first time, I thought you were joking, honestly. I almost laughed it off. Hey. Naegi interjected from the bed. That really isn't something you should tell someone in their face. Kamishiro, however, brushed it off. I don't need to be careful. I've always thought about being careful was for losers, but I don't suppose you have any experience with that, do you, big bro? In any case, I understand completely now. Kamishiro shipped past Naegi and stood in front of me, making sure we were face to face before saying any more. You really are amazingly forgetful. Saying such ditzy things don't really seem like it fit you, but I kind of like it. Actually, now that I think about it, there are a lot of girls out there ditzy like you. I gotta admit, my equipment down south gets a little harder just talking about them.
Oh my god, really?
We all stood there, blinking in surprise at the sudden explicit reference. Well, in any case, you're my client, so I'm genuinely relieved to see nothing happen to you, but in the end, Kamishiro directed his line of sight back to Matarai. No matter how much I think it over, I can't decide if this little detail is a bad situation or not. I thought it really might be, they say I've got a warm enough personality to melt all the ice cream in a convenience store, though I guess that might annoy some people, but because this is just my nature, I honestly can't make head or tails of why
is
this
he little
had to
Gideon?
happen. When I started doing the voice for him, I was like, oh, little Gideon.
He's little That's what it feels like, right? Sugar and melt in my mouth.
I think it might have been overkill, Naegi. Apologizing once again for the scene. Or I guess it's better to say it was self-defense. That's not what I meant, Kamishiro said, hitting him lightly. As he slowly walked over to Matarai's body, he mumbled to himself. Honestly, talk about a worst-case scenario. Well, can't do anything about it now. But when he wakes up, will you resort to violence again? What'll you do? You can't just leave him here now, can you? Well, if we all go to the security department and explain, we can't do that, big bro. Kamishiro stared at Naegi, analyzing him. You didn't know I came all the way here just so I could have an important talk with my client. You understand it's a very important talk. Got it. What I'm trying to say, we're far too busy. But Naegi found himself completely overpowered by Kamishiro's icy cold stare. Then unexpectedly a voice called out from a few meters away. I'll do something about it. Everyone turned to look at Saba, who quickly lowered her gaze to the ground and repeated herself. I'll do something about it. By yourself? Kamishiro asked, drawing closer to her. The girl nodded. The heck? You so quiet. You sure you know what you're doing? The girl nodded suddenly. Like the flip of a switch, Kamishiro's eyes began sparkling brightly. I see. I get it now. You can take care of all this by yourself. Well, hearing that really puts my mind at ease. Oh, and by the way, it would be best not to mention any of this to the security department. It'll be pretty hard to deal with those guys. Wait a second. If we don't explain the situation to them properly, they'll blame Ikusaba. Huh? Kamishiro stared intently at Naegi. His sudden assertion made his young childish face vanish, and I felt myself grow hot in discomfort. Naegi, meanwhile, remained dead silent. You still don't get it, even though I've said it a million times already. Big Sis and I are busy. We have no time to help you clear this up. You side characters can go ahead and do all that without our permission.
The side characters are actually like the main characters of the franchise.
Yeah, I know. In fact, since you guys resorted to such violent solution in the first place, I'd say it makes you the bad guys. If it were me, I would have done it a much better job. He continued to prattle on about his self-importance. Naegi couldn't find the words to say in response, but somehow he was managing to keep cool. From the sidelines, Ikusaba softly spoke once again. It's okay. I'll do something about it. So, Ikusaba! It's fine. With two short words, she. Kamishiro and I turned to one another, so he muttered something directly to me. It might be good. He then raised his voice, addressing her. Well, then, it's decided. And a smile lit up Kamashiro's face as he clapped his hands happily. Leave the job to Big Sis over there. Ditzy Sis and I are going to go somewhere else. Yay, let's go, let's go. He grabbed my hand, acting like a child, dragging his exhausted parents to the toy store. Wait a moment. It's fine. You want to get back to your peaceful old life, don't you, sis? So just quiet down and come with me. He continued dragging me along behind him until we reached the door of the lab. I looked back hopelessly. Ikusaba watched me ever expressionless, and Aigi, who looked worried again, stood up. He took a single step, a look of determination etched in his face before halting with a startled pause as Ikusaba laid a hand on his shoulder. As he turned to look at her, she cautioned him with a quiet shake of her head. With that, Naigi's shoulders relaxed. He seemed to give in. He looked back to me. Two of them disappeared from our thought. Now then, onward. Let's do our best. Kamishiro cheered in excitement the moment we entered the hallway. Time to solve your problem. He continued on, leaving me behind for a moment. Wait for me, I called out hurriedly, ran after him, but my mind was elsewhere. I couldn't help thinking about the way Naegi looked at me in the last moment. His eyes seemed to deliver to me a burning sense of unease. The boy named Makoto Naegi didn't seem particularly reliable and had a weak presence. But in the depths of his eyes at that moment, there was an incredible strength which seemed to emanate from his very core and shatter all my previous notions of who this person was. He seemed to look at me with dazzling aura. Whether there was a problem, whether he faced an unbeatable enemy, I knew he would always have a strength so powerful he would never give up.
Hope, you know.
Such an unforeseeable person, staring directly at me with those eyes. I don't understand how I could feel so strangely about it, as though he were some unusual, mysterious force. However, I doubt I'll ever need to know. After all, he has nothing to do with me, and that's not just a reason. I'm just using it because it suits me. I just genuinely feel as though he has basically nothing to do with me. It was as though we were from alternate dimensions. Naigi's story and my own will never cross paths again. In the end, we will have nothing to do with each other.
I feel that's a lie.
That's how it felt for some reason. So, with that in mind, I'll forget the boy. That was what I had concluded as I walked down the halls of the biology building. In fact, in just a matter of minutes, I completely forgotten his existence.
Right, the recording stopped. Will you do me a favor? Will you write down Book 2, Chapter 4?
Book 2, Chapter 4.
And would you write the page number as well?
Page number.
The page number is 161.
Got it.
Got it? You got all that then? All of that's down.
I do.
Okay. I don't know who's streaming. Is it following tab? Oh, I don't think we're ready to do anything related to what we're doing. We'll just put you onto the thanks for coming screen, and we'll see you guys whenever we may do. If we can do any more tomorrow, we can wait till next week. We'll see how we feel, yeah?
Yeah.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for coming.